Hello, everybody.
Hello.
He's just come out of the jungle. The camera's up there. Right, turn the fan off a minute.
I'm not used to being
naked.
Well,
we've got loads of people that followed us since we put him up looking strange. Weird. So, what are we doing? Well, I've been depressed. Green, can you hear me? We always do that. We always rub it on, and we don't know if anybody can hear us. This is the 80s. I put it on with a trowel these days. We need to know if people can hear us, to be honest. Should I just keep talking?
Yeah.
So, I've been well depressed listening to the stuff about the Olympics and the stuff about this kid and this black boy and then this police, and I've been well depressed. I've been in a right old mess. The only thing that cheers me up usually is the 80s songs. And so I was up at 6:30 this morning dancing. He was in bed like that, and it cheered me up. So I thought, okay, why don't we just do this?
Yeah.
We'll have a few songs, but I want you to dance as well. And the thing is, because we're on our 3rd strike, if we play the music, we're by copyright. So you're going to have to play the music, and I want you dancing as well. Because I want to lift the energy. Because there's some, I don't know if you can feel it, there's some shitting energy around. There's some bad energy. Hi, Johnny. There's some really bad energy. It reminds me of 2020 energy, and I'm not liking it. So I lifted my energy this morning, so I want you to do it as well. I want you to do some dancing. And there is a link if you want to go live and dance. We'll put you on there. But you don't have to. You can just watch us dickheads. It's going to be silent unless you put the music on, which is going to be really weird. But we're trying to lift your energy. Now, I was practicing. Now, I'm not even lying now. I'm not even saying this to be funny. I was practicing MC Hammer earlier, and I did my backing. That's not even a lie.
So it's going to be silent with very little movement.
It's going to be silent disco with me sitting down. So thanks for tuning in. So it's MC Hammer, Can't Touch This. So now it's MC Hammer.
Can't move this.
Yeah. So anyway, we're gonna, the first number one is the Bee Gees, Staying Alive. Put that on in the background. Otherwise you're going to be looking at us and, well, probably you usually look at us and go, what the fucking hell are they doing?
With or without music, they're going to be saying that, to be fair.
But we're trying to lift the energy, and I was happier in the 80s. I don't know what you were doing in the 80s. You might not have even been born. I was having the time of my bloody life. Oh, we should put that one in.
We've got
11 songs on the playlist. I ain't going to get through 2 because I've done me back into MC Hammer. So please put the music on and please join in and lift your energy, because I think that's the only way we're going to get through this bloody nonsense. Like we did in the lockdown. I was a miserable cow in the lockdown. If you were around in the lockdown following me, you'd be like, God, she's a miserable cow. Then all of a sudden I realised, no, we've got to laugh. So we started laughing, didn't we? We started being funny. And it got us through it. So this is about lifting your energy. And then after, if he's not in hospital, he's going to do a talk about when he went to the Glastonbury Symposium.
Yeah.
It's really weird because the computer's down there, but the camera's up there. So it's a bit weird.
Yeah.
And I've got so much bloody eyeliner on, I can't even see. But in the 80s, I didn't wear these, so I'm taking them off. In the 80s, I could move.
Yeah.
So please, can you get the Bee Gees Staying Alive on? Otherwise, this is going to be really weird. Okay? We're going to have to mute ourselves, otherwise we're going to get a strike. So when we start doing that, it means our music's on. Put your music on, get out of your chair and enjoy yourself. If you want to go on the cam, the link's in the thing. I bet you don't. It's just us that are going to be fucking twats. Right, all right. So I'm going to mute myself and put my music on. So the first one, please do it because it just makes you happy. Makes me happy. Might piss you right off, the Bee Gees, I don't care. Right, I'm muting myself, you'll be glad to hear, and I'm putting the Bee Gees on. Bloody hell.
Ah,
My back's bloody killing me.
God, that was about 35 minutes, not 3 minutes.
Oh,
no.
Just see you, Connor. Are you dancing? Are you asking? I'm asking. I'm dancing. Right, so next one is Village People, YMCA. Mark is dressed for this one. Are you all dancing? This is about raising the bar. Connor, I need the one. Right, we're going to pause ourselves. I want Village People, YMCA, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
That is right. Right. Okay. What's the next song, Mark? Anybody know?
Hold
Hold on. You better be getting
Waterloo.
it.
Waterloo.
Waterloo. Hold on. By ABBA. Can you tell we've been practicing all day, and I've actually done my backing practicing. You probably can tell.
Yeah.
Oh. Waterloo. Get Waterloo on. Hi, Mara. Hi, everybody who I haven't seen.
Hello.
Waterloo. Otherwise, it don't make sense, because it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Otherwise.
Yeah.
Right, we're going to mute ourselves and do Waterloo. Make sure you're dancing. I want this energy, because the energy's dark in the world. And what we're trying to do, Mark,
It's lighten the energy.
Lighten the energy and break my back. It's all right, I'm on Paracin tablets. Right, Waterloo. Oh my Christ. My back's bloody killing me. Are you actually putting the music on? I need to know. I've put fucking makeup on for this shit, right? Look at him, he's dressed like a... I look like a tranny. I'm not saying what he looks like. Are you actually joining in? Get over here. What's next, Mark? Disco Inferno.
Yeah.
Disco Inferno. Are you dancing? Because we're trying to lift the energy. Make sure you're dancing. Might not have the moves for this one, Green. I didn't, like I said, for those of you that didn't hear the beginning, I was practicing MC Hammer and did my backing. So I'm on tablets. It's fine. Right, Disco Inferno. Give you a few minutes to get there. I hope you're doing this. I hope you're having a boogie. Can't just be us. If we can't lift the energy of the whole world by ourselves, can we, Mark?
No.
Not with this bloody makeup.
No.
Right, ready?
version, I think.
Yeah, we think that might have been the bloody 12-inch
No, it's
version.
bloody too much.
12-inch bloody version. Or if it's going to...
Yeah.
The fucking back's burning. Never mind that. Right, what's on the next one, DJ? Neil! It sounds not working. This must... No, we've got it on mute, Neil. We've got it on mute. And you've got to play the music yourself. Otherwise, we're going to get a ban. Because that's going to look really weird. Look at that.
No.
Looks weird anyway. What's next?
Wake me up before you go.
Wake me up before you go. So wham. I'm not typing all that. Poor Neil, he's just seen all that in silence. Right, so wham, go. You got to play it yourself, otherwise we get a bloody... We're on our last strike. Christ almighty, I'm on my last strike. Let me get a drink. It's been with you, Neil. Right, ready? Is everybody... Look at that stomach. Thanks for the ban.
Thank you very much.
I was just about to say...
Thank you.
80s. God almighty.
You're doing well considering.
Was it somebody, Inbred Pigeon made a comment saying, 80s music really makes you happy, cures depression. I said, I think it's all a fucking hairspray. I'm not joking, this took about an hour. I'm never going to get this off. Right, okay. Thought I had tuned into the young ones. Ben left this morning. Oh, okay. When are we going to get a bloody invite? We're already going up the bloody roof. Just saying, I like the seaside. There we go. Right, so you need to be putting on wham, wake me up before you go, but you have to play it. Otherwise, we get a ban. The reason we're doing this is because I was depressed and angry. So, for people that don't know, I got up at 6:30 and started dancing around to 80s music, and then all of a sudden I was happy. So I'm like, let's get the fucking world dancing around to 80s music. And then I remembered that we were on our final strike. So you've got to get the music on yourself, and you've got to be dancing. Because mine and Mark, we've got a lot of energy. We won't have tomorrow. I've had a round of ibuprofen. But we need you all up and dancing and mixing this really bad energy up, because it's bad energy out there. And come on, get your bloody wham shoes on. I probably used to have some wham shoes. Right, we're going in.
All right. Yeah.
Was it Michael Jackson? Which one?
Billie Jean.
Right. Now find Billie Jean, Michael Jackson. Put it on. Oh no, we still have Disco Inferno written up. We just done one.
No.
Oh my Christ, I'm knackered. I'm pretty knackered. Right, let's wait for that to get right. So Billie Jean is not my lover. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's just a girl. But
She said I was the man.
Oh.
Yeah. Right, get your music on in the background or this looks weird. With music, it looks perfectly sensible.
Yeah.
Look at him.
If you were completely off your face at 2 o'clock in the morning at a fucking nightclub,
this looks completely normal.
It might do on an 80s revival night.
I've got my guitar.
And everyone was on some substance. Anyway.
Have you got your guitar?
Right.
I'm on bass. Mark's on lead.
Right.
Right, what are we doing? Billie Jean. Put your music on.
For that.
Oh no, I'm just showing off the instruments to show that we're not amateurs.
Alright, okay.
This is to raise the positivity and the energy in a godforsaken world. Okay, we can't do it by ourselves. I can't do it for much longer because my back's gone. But anyway, Billie Jean, please put it on and please dance. Let me know if you're dancing. Alright? Right, ready, go. Billie Jean is not my lover. What have we got on next? Because my back's hurting.
Well, it's the one that did you in.
Oh, I can't do MC Hammer. What's the one after that? I was practicing MC Hammer. I'll tell you why. There was this girl that I used to work with 20 years ago, and she used to be able to do the. I'm not going to do it again.
No.
For 20 years, I've been jealous of the fact she could go. I'm not going to do it again. He went to the toilet. I thought I'm going to do it. Back went click. I'm now on strong painkillers, but I still want the energy high. So I'm sacrificing for the world.
Yeah.
Won't be the first time.
No.
Won't be the first time.
No.
So what have we got now?
Right, so we're not having
MC Hammer because he did me back in.
All right,
What we having now? Are you guys dancing?
It's Fame.
No.
Oh Christ, yeah.
I'm gonna scream forever. Irene.
Or in this case,
Pain.
oh, the agony forever.
I'm gonna learn how to cry. Right. Get Fame on. Please let me know. Are you guys actually doing this?
So this is obviously Irene Cara, Fame. Not like the kiss from Fame or something like that.
I got that in there.
Oh yeah.
Irene Cara, Fame. Is anybody actually had a little dance yet? Because I can't do this by myself. Me and Mark, we can't raise the Schumann resonance all by ourselves, can we, Mark? If there's a spike in the Schumann resonance tomorrow, these guys, you're not even in camera.
No.
Right. Fame. I'm going to live, well, for a couple more minutes. Super, no! Oh, Neil can't dance, he's editing Ben's talk.
Oh my God.
Can you start editing this?
Yes.
I think it's going to take more than a bit of an editing job.
Yeah.
Right, no worries, Neil. As long as you're listening to the music, well, I hope you are. Otherwise, it is very strange. Right, what have we got now? Girls just want to have fun?
Yeah.
Girls, fun, Cindy. You understand what that means? Oh, Christ alive. I never get up in the morning. Right, put this one on in the background. Is anybody dancing? Oh, Green Tea's been dancing!
Hey.
Right. This, just swap girls to Liz. Liz just wants to have fun. Because it's been a bit of a depressing couple of bloody days for Liz. Yeah. Mark's always happy. I think there's something wrong with him, always on drugs. But I've been a bit down in the dumps. And dancing around to 80s music got me out of it. So, come on, join me. To Liz just wants to have fun. Ready? Liz just wants to have fun. Right. We're going to make that the last song, but Mark's good. We need to clean up the champagne because that went fucking everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll have a little clean up, and then Mark is going to put some trousers on. No, a top. And he's going to give you some serious. Oh, I've got to look up there.
Yeah.
Mark's going to give you a talk because Mark was in Glastonbury Symposium last week. I couldn't go because of my bad back. Because look at me, I'm practically disabled. Yeah. So anyway, I didn't think I could go, but today I was like, fuck it, I'm dancing.
Yeah.
So we will have a little break. So you have a little break, you go get a cup of tea, whatever you want. We'll be just milling around in the background. We'll put ourselves on pause and we'll make it more of a professional environment. I hope you all joined in with that and I hope you enjoyed it and I hope your energy levels, well, I hope they're a bit higher than mine. But I'm just going to have some more champagne and read through your comments. Thank you so much, guys, for putting up with our fucking nonsense. I needed to get that out of my system. So love you loads for sticking with us. Give us a few minutes. You'll see what we're up to. I'm going to tidy this up. Mark's going to get the business in, and then you can get a nice professional talk.
What do you know about that?
I don't know about that. So yeah, I'm just going to pause myself and tidy up a bit. Right.
Right.
We got a fan. Is the fan too noisy? I'm going to go and wash this shit up. I'm going to go and wash 1985 off my face. And Mark will entertain you. Do you want me to get you anything?
No.
Defibrillator?
Just with champagne.
Oh, well.
And, yeah, do you think the fan needs to go off? Or?
I don't know, ask him if it's too noisy.
Can you hear above the fan, people? I think the camera needs to be a little bit...
Yeah. Right, I'm going to go and sort myself out.
Can people hear? Brilliant. Thanks, Margaret.
I'm going to go and watch 1985 off.
Right. Okay. So, sorry I haven't sorted out getting photos up and stuff like that.
Dancing.
Yeah, too busy practicing dance moves. But maybe try and put up a little snippet of stuff. Like I went to the crop circle tour before the symposium on the Thursday. Got a few shots, a little video and stuff from there. So I'll try and get that up at some point. And that was really a good start to the whole weekend. Never been to a crop circle before. So it was a great experience to be inside one. And there were various linkages within the symposium, and a lot of it, I suppose, connects around crop circles. The symposium itself, a lot of you probably will know, but it's been going for 30 plus years, and it started as purely a crop circle conference. The whole weekend was talked about crop circles and stuff. So that's where it all began, and there were a couple of crop circle tours. Talks during this symposium, but obviously over the years it's now a real variety of things, basically everything you can think of alternative, really. Lots of brilliant speakers on a varied number of subjects. So I'm just going to try and run through a few of them. I won't get through all of them by any stretch of the imagination, because obviously the talks in themselves, each one is goes on for an hour plus, and so much within each one. So, but funny enough, there was a bit of a link from us doing crazy dancing to some of these things. So the first talk on the Friday morning was David Ash talking about super energy and the quantum vortex. And let's face it, super energy was exactly what we were about there in that first hour, as you can imagine, really. But also this David Ash, I don't think he's someone that I'm really familiar with before. I don't remember seeing him talk before. But it did follow on from the last couple of live streams when I've been talking about David Bohm and Robert Temple and Temple's book on plasma. David Ash is another one of these great scientists who are brilliant in their field, very intelligent, very knowledgeable, but also very connected, interested in the spiritual side of creation, creativity, the universe. And they are all about connecting the two, and the two aren't indivisible in their minds. So David Ash is exactly like that. He said he started. I think his dad might have been a scientist, but anyway, his dad introduced him to science when he was just a kid. Something like 6 years old. He'd been reading about science, practicing science. So it's been something that he's had in his life, all his life. But also at the same time, he's been interested in the spiritual. He was talking about at a young age he read a yoga book, and basically he was saying how he read it was that that these yogis had peered into the atom. They had they on a metaphysical level they'd been able to see things on a quantum level, just, you know, through their conscious mind, through connecting somehow on a different level, but they got insights into this unseen basis of reality for all of us. And of course, this was many centuries before our actual modern science was able to show the actuality of these things. But he said it's all about how energy forms mass. And he was saying, like, the concept of prana, we talked about nothing but spin, which could also be a phrase for political parties these days, along with some other comments you can think of. But this idea of at the quantum level, things being a vortex, and it being these, an atom doesn't consist of anything, there's nothing inside it, but there's all this incredible movement of all these protons and electrons. He described it as like a whirlpool energy. But he was saying, again, similar to things that Robert Temple said, David Bohm said, he was saying physicists don't really know what nuclear is. And I think, again, this idea where, you know, scientists sort of broadcast, oh, well, we know the answers, we declare that this is the thing and this is how everything works. But in a lot of cases, they don't actually know. They haven't actually proven it, and there just becomes a particular hypothesis which is accepted as being the dominant one, the correct one. But that sometimes changes, and down the line, years later, after perhaps stigmatizing scientists that have come to a different opinion, and they say no, you know, that consensus opinion wasn't correct, and it's something completely different. He said there's no such thing as quarks. Now, I wouldn't totally grasp what a quark is meant to be anyway, so I can't really confirm or deny that. But yeah, needless to say, he's got a different interpretation of physics to a lot of the mainstream. But I like this idea of the super energy and the quantum vortex, because I'm just going to do a funny little link to our dancing, because it's just this energy of bodies. It is a thing of creating energy, and that does have positive effects on the world. We know, whether it's just on our personal mood, but just lifting the energy. So I'm going to make a funny little link there. He referred to a 2022 paper in the New York Academy for Advancement of Science, which recognized life after death, in his words. And he said this is happening more and more because of resuscitation techniques in modern medicine. There's more and more people that are officially dead for some period of time, and then they're resuscitated. So, you know, they literally came back to life. So this is happening more and more. And obviously there's a number of people that report near death or sort of post-death experiences, even when they have clinically died and then they get resuscitated. And, you know, various people have described what they've seen, and those. So this, you know, to him is proof of there being another dimension, sort of above or outside of the material world. And he links this with the scientific idea of this quantum, this energy is spinning at this subatomic level. You talked, you know, in terms, again, that sort of link in with things we know from pagan times and the ancient sites, with mixing of masculine and feminine energy, which of course, again, was like me and Liz dancing. You know, the same waveforms, a light, that's like the masculine, and then matter is the word is sort of from the same origins as mater, mother, and we get, so that's the feminine. So there's these, everything's made up of these vortices, atoms, molecules, cells. We're saying, and it's all about the speed, and it's light energy. This is subatomic level. And we talk, about Einstein and the theory of relativity, and obviously the idea that nothing can travel beyond the speed of light. But what he's saying was, in these subatomic levels, he's saying there's this super energy where things on the subatomic level, they can go beyond the speed of light, and that produces a different dimension. Because he was saying, where people often talk about frequencies, getting to a higher frequency, he was saying it's actually higher speeds of motion within this, I suppose, this subatomic level of things. And at these greater speeds, it's where you get these other dimensions, other worlds, which we can't see because it's moving too fast for us. We think again, as I was talking in plasma, talk about Robert Temple's book, made me think again of Nick Hayes, our friend Nick Hayes, Quest for the Invisibles, and all these amazing infrared, ultraviolet photographs and videos, these strange entities, and these were caught just within frames of hours and days of footage that he made. So it is this sort of thing where, maybe just, for the merest microsecond of a shutter speed, it's probably the wrong terminology now, with technology, with photography and stuff, but, maybe it's just literally that things are just moving too fast on this other level, this other dimension. He talked about it, the next level up, as being the hyperphysical, the astral, the fourth dimension, the soul of the earth, Amina Mundi. He said they can see us. He's saying after death, humans go to this other dimension, these other dimensions. They can see us, but we can't see them. Although I suppose maybe certain times, certain people can, or as I say, things like the ultraviolet, infrared, maybe can pick out things that occasionally. But then there's a fifth dimension, which he called the superphysical, and then he was talking again about that there's many more, 6, 7, 8, 9. That made me think of a previous talk we saw at the symposium. We've got the DVD. I think it was Guy Needler. I might have to check with Liz. And he was talking about similar different realms in the spiritual worlds. So the hyperphysical is, it's sort of, if you like, it's a part of the earth, but it's just that extra level. So he said it's where we pass over to in our body, but it's sort of a second body. And again, this ties into some of what Robert Temple was talking about. So David Ash described it as a normal body is like a spacesuit. We don't belong here in material earth. So we need this physical body is like our spacesuit, where we can move about in matter. But when we shake off the physical body, when the physical body dies, then it's like our higher dimension body. We don't need the material anymore, because it's like we're going home. We're in the environment where we can breathe without a spacesuit. So this is the conscious part of you, which I suppose you could equate to the soul. That's what is in this hyperphysical realm. And the hyperbody doesn't age, so you can see people that you knew in your physical life, but they'd be in a maybe in a different stage in their appearance, like Liz is as well.
I can't even breathe in a physical fashion.
Liz has gone to a higher physical dimension.
I look like I'm going to ask you to cross my palm of silver.
Oh yeah, come and show the audience. The Gypsy Rose Lee.
1985 doesn't want to go anywhere.
I think it's more like 1984, love.
Oh, so now he's got the humour. Now he's got the funnies. And I was sharing my cup of champagne with you.
I know that was
You got
overexcited, didn't you?
Shove that up your arm.
You got overexcited.
No.
Yeah.
Dickhead.
Right.
Get on with it.
Right. So he was saying these ephemeral beings, fairies, angels, again, are not higher frequencies as such. They're moving a higher speed of energy, moving too fast for us to see in the normal course. But obviously there's at certain times, certain people, or sometimes they can't be seen. But
I'll be back with some champagne.
Oh, yeah, dead in the senses. Ibuprofen and champagne. That was a Stereophonics hit that never got made, wasn't it? He said, using sort of language, is probably heard a lot of times. People talking, in UFO conferences and that sort of thing. The idea where we've chosen to be here on this material world, on this earth, we're here to be challenged, and it's this sort of testing ground experience thing where we're going through these challenges, and we're here to try and make, I don't know whether he spoke in terms of raising the consciousness of the planet. I suppose he did, yeah, because he was saying, he phrased it, great terminology, I think, really. Just this is an opportunity of a lifetime to be here. And he said we could become guardian spirits of suns. Again, mentioned in the temple talk, everything's got a spirit, a soul. All inanimate objects, all these stellar entities, suns, stars. So we can become the guardian spirits of suns, like Helios, the guardian in our sun, the guardian of those on earth. So there's enormous purpose to life. He spoke about reincarnation. He mentioned Billy Campbell. I looked him up on the internet. You might have already heard of him. Australian kid. I don't know if there's been much spoken of it, but something there was a few years ago. I think it was 2018 or something. But it was something where his dad was a TV, sort of fairly famous TV person in Australia. So I suppose that always makes you suspicious if someone's already got a family connection with someone in the media. You sort of think, they just wanted to get a big story out there, sort of thing. So, but this Billy Campbell, at very young age, small boy, and he started saying something, saw a picture of Princess Diana and said, "Oh, that's me. I was, that was me." And but there were certain things that he said that, oh Christ, I'm hearing the voices of angels. Oh no, it's the Bee Gees. But yeah, apparently the most sort of striking thing, which I didn't read in the article that I sort of Googled later, but maybe they didn't include it because it would have been sort of a bit distressing for the family. But he apparently talked about my brother John. And so initially it was like, well, Princess Diana didn't have a brother called John. She had I think her brother was called Charles, which is a bit creepy because obviously the bloke she married who was dodgy was called Charles as well. But anyway, there was Charles Spencer and Diana, and they were just the only two. But then apparently there is there was a brother, there was another sibling, John, but he was only alive for like an hour. He was born and then and then he died, but he was actually born. So there was a brother called John. So anyway, so again, he's obviously, Ash is saying that the reincarnation again. He said we've chosen to be here, so he's going through that. The idea that you can choose to come back and have your higher energy, higher dimension soul manifest itself in a physical body. Liz is watching Linda dancing. That's something I'm looking forward to seeing later, Linda. Thank you. So so yeah, I think he was he's a brilliant person to start, but yeah, high, all about energy, and again, as I say, science and the spiritual and how they combine can be about the same thing. He did mention a quote which I'm sorry I didn't quite get all down, but someone from who started the Baha'i religion, but talking about a beliefs in harmony with science would be a unifying cleansing for the whole of mankind. So yeah, David Ash, brilliant. I would have shown you, just sorry, there's the program for the conference. I'll mention a bit more about the cover in a moment, but so next up was Sam X, as he's called there. I think when we saw him, he was like the compere for the Uprise and Shine conferences, and yeah, really good guy. He was a really funny guy, like as a compere. I didn't see him talk on those previous conferences, so I was determined to see him this one. He talks about cryptocurrency, and that's something which doesn't draw me in, but I mean, he was aware of that sort of thing where a lot of people, I suppose, especially because the symposium in the majority would be sort of middle-aged and above. For the majority, there were the younger person there, but mostly older. So cryptocurrencies, people like me just never been able to get my head around it. So it was good. It was good to sort of get his talk about it. I mean, he went through a bit of background in how different financial systems have changed, and things like the Federal Reserve, and how there's been different currencies over the years. Starting from the Phoenician and going through all these different ages where different sort of, I guess, dominant powers or trading powers, at least, their currency became the international reserve, where other countries would trade against it, and they wanted this currency, and this became like the base currency that other countries could use to base their currency on and for international trade. And of course, obviously at one time it was a pound. The British Empire was the predominant one, and in the last 100 years or so, it's been the dollar. And of course, there's loads of stuff happening now where that's being usurped and changed. So I mean, Sam did talk a lot about astrological cycles, Mari, which made me think as well, because on my tour I mentioned before Olga Morales, the Australian astrologer who does her astrology mainly geared to like the stock markets and other financial markets, and looking at, and I remember talking to her on the Megalithomania tour, and she was talking about the idea of these different cycles. Mari will be aware of, I'm sure. Sam mentioned those as well. He's very interested in the astrological connections with these things. He talked about 1880 to 120 year cycles on these reserve currency, these big currencies that are the international ones that the economies of the world sort of base themselves on. And he talked about Saturn cycle, 27 to 29 years. These financial collapses happen after these cycles. So Sam believes that the cycles are natural, but the powers that shouldn't be, they understand these, and so because they understand when they're going to happen, they can leverage them, they can use them so that they gain out of them, and they make sure that the rest of us suffer from them, and they can take advantage of the fallout from when there's a financial collapse, and they can obviously take advantage of that to put things in place that they want to do to control people. I think Olga and her friend Neil were who works in stocks in America gave that quote. I think it was J.P. Morgan said something like, millionaires don't need astrology, but billionaires do. So this is hermetic knowledge, Mari saying. Yeah, did you mean this, what I'm talking about now? Sorry, can't quite keep up with the chat to the same extent with chatting all my stuff, but yeah, one of the Rothschilds as well, I think it might be David Rothschild, said if you control the money in the country, it doesn't matter who makes the laws. Maybe there's an extension from that. If you control the money, you also control the people that make the laws. So I guess it's a bit of the same thing, really. But yeah, basically, if you've got the finances, then you can do whatever you want. Everything else follows on from that, and you can manipulate as you want. Sam was talking about we're going into the age of Aquarius, and that's an air sign, so sort of going into the cloud, as it were. And obviously the cloud is obviously a term that's been used for the internet. So saying the next iteration of the internet is known as Web 3. So that's what we're going into now, which is a sort of decentralization. And you've got this talks about the blockchain. Now this is something that I've not really ever quite grasped 100%. But I think, knowing a little bit more from Sam's talk, it's the idea that there's all these different entities around the world on their computer that are, and each of them can control their bit of data, and it then uploads onto the whole, if you like, hive of all these connected computers instantly. Makes it harder for things to, once they're done, to be changed. And you're saying that there's not one central power that has control over it. So obviously that's where a lot of people started things like Bitcoin, because they wanted to get away from these centralized bank systems where things are controlled just by the governments, the central banks, and of course now we're seeing where recent times where they've just shut down. They've started now, not just in things like GoFundMe and whatever, but they've actually, banks have actually closed down people's accounts because they don't like them, they don't like the things they're saying. So I mean, I've always been wary of things like Bitcoin, because to me it just seems, well, it's all on a computer, so I don't trust it. It's like, I can't transfer my money into that because it's just some data on a computer, and it's just like, it's not there. But
neither's real money, neither's paper money.
My lovely wife took the words out of my mouth. So yes, I do know that. But I suppose up until now there has been the thing where you have your bank account, however much money in it, and you can withdraw physical cash from a machine or from a bank. If you've got that in your account. But obviously that's what they're taking away. Thank you. So as you're saying, that there is a world of difference between these things like Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies that have been set up, and what the powers that shouldn't be want to set up, which is centralized digital currencies, because it's a contradiction in terms, because as I just said, the whole point of these blockchain things is they're decentralized. and the idea there isn't one person who's controlling him who could then say, right, that particular account or person is just going to be shut down and it's all gone. So whether this has been a deliberate thing that they wanted to get people into a digital currency idea so that then more people would accept central digital currencies, wouldn't be a surprise. I mean, who started Bitcoin? I don't know if that's known, but I mean, as Sam said, he's like not trying to necessarily persuade people that this is what you have to do. He's saying, like all technology, it can be used for good or bad, and he thinks that it can be a benefit to people like us if we're wise to it. And again, it could be one of these things where if more of us get knowledge of it, then we don't have to lose all control and power of these things, our financial systems, to the people that are in power. And yeah, likewise, why be afraid of this, having your money in this computerized account when at the moment that's all it is anyway, but your computerized account at the moment is under the whims of banks that are under the whim of central banks, etc., etc. So he made a good point there. So it was a good talk. He talks very well, and it made it. I think maybe where I'd go with it, if I don't know, if maybe down the line we talked about other platforms, something like Odyssey, I think is connected to a blockchain. If you had maybe something where you could start earning money on a cryptocurrency connected with something like that as a separate income stream to like the normie world one where I go to work Monday to Friday and get my earnings sort of thing, as a alternative. So there's a fallback option, so not all your eggs in one basket. I don't know, maybe, who knows. But yeah, so this is still on Friday. Sandy Adams did her usual brilliant talk. I mean, she jokes, here's me doing my talk again about Agenda 2030, but it's essential because it needs to be said. And okay, in terms of somewhere like the Symposium, she's sort of preaching to the converted, but that, you know, of course we know that so many people are not getting it. Actually, funny enough, I remember at Uprise and Shine, the aforementioned Sam, as I say, comparing it, and he was introducing Sandy, and he mentioned someone like, I think it was like his brother, who was very normie and thought Sam was mad for, you know, being a conspiracy theorist and all these sort of things. And he said he actually showed him one of Sandy's talk on video talking about Agenda 2030, Agenda 21. And it was actually that made this guy, his brother, think, oh, actually, you're not as crazy as I thought you were, and actually there's something in this. So she does put it in a very good way. I mean, I probably won't talk too much about it because people watching will be familiar with a lot of these things.
Not everybody.
Not everybody. I will say some of it, but also, of course, we know that we don't want to get backed.
Yeah. Just say, look at Sandy's talks.
Well, look at Sandy's talks. I mean, I will go through some of it. I mean, the Earth Summit in Rio was a big launching off point for a lot of these things. Obviously, we know things have been going on for centuries in one form or another, but in terms of the...
You definitely need a dance after listening to Sandy do it. It's very depressing in a way.
But she, you know, she talks about fighting back. So I think that is always... that's always part of her thing. And the reason, she said, you know, she keeps talking about these things because she wants to fight it and she wants other people to fight it. So this is her fighting back to get the word out. So I think that's always got to be the positive way of looking at it. But yeah, things have gone from global to local. Actually, we saw Sandy Adams a number of years ago, wasn't it, Liz?
Yeah.
and I thought it was brilliant. It was Mark Windows and Piers Corbyn.
He fell asleep during his own talk.
Piers did, bless him. But yeah, each three in there brilliant at what they do. But the reason I thought of that is because Mark Windows is someone who's been going on for a long time, way before recent nonsense 2020, about how these global initiatives via the UN and stuff, and how they were really taking hold in local councils, and so many people, even people that were sort of aware of things like us, weren't really noticing that these things were happening at this local council level, and it wasn't being spoken about. It wasn't being picked up.
And that's where you're supposed to fight it.
Yeah, that's what Mark Windows says a lot. I mean, that's one of the things I know
We're shit at that.
don't feel the energy to go to a council meeting, but more and more people are. I mean, maybe since 2020, there have been people I know in Bath, down the road from here, that have taken things to councils, and obviously there's protests. I missed it actually. I didn't know about it, but there was a protest about 15-minute cities, and the next internet level thing, which is a number beginning, which is after 4, and the letter which is before H, but we probably won't say those.
But we don't live in a fascist country where you can't speak your mind.
Quite right.
Absolute conspiracy.
Quite right. My 80s lovely.
It won't come off.
It's going to be like that character in Phoenix Nights, where you can never get the like cat face painting on. Anyway, but yeah, so she was a protest there. But yeah, they've been taking things at council level, and obviously, like everything else during lockdowns and that, everything went up a level, and all these infrastructure changes and things like these local councils suddenly changing all like roads and these sort of traffic reduction methods. And obviously at the time they said, we have to do this because of social distancing and things like that.
Well, there's terrorism barriers in Bath.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden.
Yes. Then we had just on Monday got overshadowed by the horrible stabbings, but there was supposedly a potential chemical attack, or they were saying a woman approached people with a bag. I mean, it sounds surreal. Maybe with some powder in it, and these people started feeling unwell.
In Bath.
In Bath, yeah. Well, it all happened about 2 hours after I was in Bath, because I was coming back from the symposium, and I got the bus to Bath, and then was getting the bus here. So yeah, I would have been in the centre of Bath, very close to that, about 2 hours earlier. But yeah, they've done all these sort of bollards and things around the Abbey in Bath, and it's all protecting people against terrorism and an attack.
There's no terrorism in Bath, except for the bloody Christmas market. There's wooden ties.
Yeah. But now they can say, well, there is. There you go. We told you so. We told you need protecting.
Mm.
So, but yeah, these things are coming from the top down. She spoke about Theresa May's amending of the Climate Change Act a few years ago. So we were the only country, Britain, that committed to net zero in law. I mean, the disaster that would cause. But yeah, unelected corporate stakeholders. Most of the green technology is produced in China, which is probably the country that's probably the least green.
We're going to need a fucking another disco after this. I ain't got the energy.
I'll try and go out on a.
I ain't got the fucking energy.
But yeah, all the things happening about the farmers around the world, incentivized basically not to farm. She showed a picture actually of the area near here, and Sandy herself is not from far away, and she was showing an area of North Somerset and this map, and it was showing like where sort of sustainable energy, sort of wind farms, solar farms, land, where these things were. And she said, it's like, well, that's basically covered all the areas there, so where's where the food can be grown. And obviously we know that they don't want people to grow food. They want lab grown meat, and
the royal family are invested in wind farms And getting thousands and thousands of pounds.
Yes, our beloved King was mentioned a few times.
Don't even say beloved King, not even ironically.
No, okay. But yeah, just not before jumping ahead to him, she mentioned Alice Bailey, and apparently she referred to the year 2025 as when the world order would take shape. She's got loads of books in the 24 books she produced, and they're all in the UN library. Apparently, a female Freemason, according to Sandy, which I wouldn't doubt for a moment. And she talks about things like the Lucius Trust, which obviously was called known as the Lucifer Trust, and before that. She's all about technocracy, which again will be a lot of people here will be familiar with. She mentioned.
Do you want to just give a brief what the fuck is technocracy for people that don't?
So it was around 1930, and it was a movement. I think it was mainly based in America, where they talked about this idea of an energy-based economy. So to move away from the normal capitalist model. So and it was all about the technology will save us, I suppose, and you needed to sort of something that was based on technology to take things out of the hand. So it will need to be guided by experts, the engineers, the scientists, who were just on a very technical level of reason. They would decide what was the best use of resources. So it wouldn't be about the idea of capital, where people are making things just to create wants or something. And capitalism isn't an ideal system. Capitalism has caused a lot of problems, but as we know, the people running capitalism, again, it's who controls the money, innit? And it's like that's not going to change. It's the same people that are promoting this, which of course again was mentioned by Sandy. The people like the Rockefellers started the UN and all these other things like the Trilateral Commission, all these different Club of Rome, all these different think tank NGOs, which are governing now what the agenda literally is going to be, or is. But yeah, the one guy, vaguely, I think I'd heard about him, but Liz will tell me now that she put it in the quiz question. But Joshua Haldeman.
Yeah.
Social Credit Party, but I think he was someone who promoted this idea of technocracy, but he was involved with masonry. Freemasonry, that is, not making stuff out of stones. But he was Elon Musk's granddad.
That's all.
But yeah, he did some convoy of cars in 1947 in America, and it was supposed to go into all these different Freemasonry lodges through America, and it was supposed to be promoting this idea. But that was soon after World War II, and it didn't catch on. But yeah, I mean, she talked about one. I think it was maybe after the Earth Summit in Rio. There was a big the Royal Yacht Britannia was there, and then Prince Charles had a big wine and dine with all these
children,
rich, famous people. Don't get us banned to this. No, people don't want to see dancing can't be banned. There's got to be there for posterity, anyway. Yeah. But yes, he has pushed sustainable development for years. But yeah, I won't go into much more of Sandy's talk, except it was undoubtedly excellent. But yeah, talked about a lot of the things that have been going on in our world, which we know about. But we need to keep fighting back against it. That's the
fight back with disco.
Fight back with disco. That's a T-shirt.
Disco will save the world.
That's an album and a T-shirt.
Disco World Order
and a film, probably. Another talk on the Friday. I won't go into details about it because I lost it a little bit. But Colin Power, again, it was around the idea of sacred geometry. He explained it very well, but it's not something that is easy for me to grasp. But again, it does connect in to other talks just that same night, which I'll go on to in a moment, the sort of keynote, if you like, late on Friday, was Andrew Collins. Obviously, I've spoken about him before.
Okay.
Megalithomania tour.
Never heard of him.
But in his talk, which I'll go into in a moment, but there was very talk about geometry in terms of Stonehenge specifically, but ancient sites in general, as I mentioned before. So Colin Powell was talking about sacred geometry, the idea of getting a balance, this ancient knowledge. So, and it was connecting as well. He talked about music, about these 5 realms and this pentatonic scale, and that is something which was a theme that came up for other talks within the conference, including Andrew's. So let me just get to me. Oh, what's happened, my lovely?
Got nobody food in this house.
Look at well, his bloody thought was happening. Yeah, I thought that might not last. So we'll go on to Andrew's talk, but yeah, it did link in. It did link in. So Andrew was talking about, kind of they build it as a lot about Karahan Tepe and places we've been to in Turkey, but the majority of his talk was about Stonehenge, and he was linking things together. But he was talking about Stonehenge being a sonic temple, and these ideas, people have been done experiments about the frequencies, the sonic range produced by the stones. Andrew was saying that one of the old names for Stonehenge is Choir Gour, G-O-U-R, I think, Grand Choir. That means, or also means Giants Dance. So we're back. Oh. See, as I say, it's linking in with the disco dancing. We were doing.
So they disco dance back in the old.
Yeah. Well, I was saying there are links. We are linked. This has all been planned meticulously.
Do you mind if I put the kettle on for me hot water? It won't make too much noise. Just shout.
No, I don't mind it. No, not at all.
It might be going.
Liz is boiling a kettle to make a hot drink.
A hot water bottle?
Hot water bowl, sorry. Oh no, she's still on the champagne, so not hot drink.
That's him on, mate.
She got a bad back.
Bloody hell.
So that's.
Saving the world.
They probably got that the ancients when they were in.
I expect the shaman had bloody backache.
Yeah, I probably did. They probably did. Apparently, Thomas Hardy, the famous writer, lived not far from Stonehenge, and he talked about hearing a strange hum. It's funny, now we get strange hums, but then that's probably from electrical stuff and things like that, and also the underground military bases we've got around here. But again, maybe there's something deliberate with that, because we've also got ancient sites around here. Well, unless the hum that we've heard is from ancient sites.
It's natural hum.
Yeah, maybe. But like
you couldn't hear it, could you?
No, I did hear it at some point, but not anything like you. But
I couldn't bloody sleep. Racket.
So I think Dr. Rupert Toll spoke about reverberations of, I think, 10 kilohertz low frequency resonances that could be produced by the wind going through the stones. Professor Trevor Cox, University of Salford. No, not him, not that one. Made a scale half-size Stonehenge in a sound chamber. And was again measuring the frequencies that were produced.
That's good, isn't it?
Apparently, it formed it up. Well, obviously, Stonehenge as it is now is not how it used to look, because obviously it's had lots of damage to it.
Moved it around.
Yeah. Well, friend Pete, actually, as an aside, was saying that there's pictures from the 1950s where they literally have took all the stones down and then they put it down. Yeah. I mean, it's frightening. And now they're doing this thing where they're putting a. Oh, actually,
What?
no, I've read some. I've seen somewhere
What?
that they're not doing it. They've abandoned the tunnel idea. Well,
Hooray!
well, I think they did abandoned it before, and then they brought it back again. So, but at the moment, good news. They're not doing. I'm sure I heard that, unless I just
I don't know what tunnel you're talking about.
tunnel under. There was a. I know Green Tea. I saw you comment on Megalithomania. They'd done a couple of videos on it because Hugh and JJ live very close to Stonehenge, so they went to some of the things because they were proposing. Because there is quite a busy A road that goes directly past Stonehenge, as many of you be aware.
Causes backup.
Yeah, people sort of, because people are looking at it.
You don't find that.
Yeah. Someone said on the panel at the symposium, there's something peculiarly British. We got this national monument, and it's right by a traffic jam. But anyway, they proposed that they were going to make a tunnel, not directly under the monument, but very close to it. And they were saying, well, this would be better because the traffic would be going underneath the ground, so that this monument will be there without all the traffic on the road. So I'm sure back it would have been nice if there was never a road with loads of cars going past it.
It's quite nice to come upon it, though. It's actually quite nice.
It is. Actually, we drove past it.
And you get people that don't give a shit actually giving a shit.
Yeah.
You know,
well, I remember,
on their way to holiday.
Yeah. Well, I remember us driving past it on the way.
When Neil invites us down to Weymouth, we'll probably go past it.
We'd be going in the wrong direction, at least. So, but so yes, probably we would. But yeah, I remember as a kid actually, we were going on a holiday to the West Country from where I was living in Essex, edge of London. Little kid, just looking out the window, and we were like driving past it, like it's Stonehenge, and even then I was like, wow, I'd never seen it before, and I was a bit upset really because it was like, can't we stop and see it? And like Dad said, no, we got to get up to Dorset or wherever we go.
Londoners.
So
I expect
but
you
yeah.
to meet Neil, wouldn't you?
So anyway, so yeah, apparently there was a whole thing. This tunnel was proposed, then there was opposition to it. It was scrapped or put on hold, and then they said, "Oh no, this is a good idea. We're going to start it again." There's been a lot of opposition to it. I believe I'm right in saying that they've now decided again to stop it. So I hope that's still the case. Hurrah!
Let's celebrate.
Yeah, let's drink to that.
Wait a minute, I haven't got any in the glass. I can feel it in my little legs, or that might be the dancing.
The little legs.
Don't put it out so them see it.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Hey, everybody.
Champagne in a martini glass. Fucking common as muck.
Hey. Ah, they're all right then.
That's all right.
That's all right then.
Fine.
So.
Hi, DJ.
Yeah.
I don't know DJ was there.
DJ was probably listening to Duran.
He was on DJ. We could have done with you earlier.
Apparently they have stopped digging, he said. So that's good news. So that's because I was sort of thinking that was along the lines of all these other things where, I said before about Göbekli Tepe, and they're not excavating that anymore.
Sorry, I'm a bit
yeah.
I'm a bit leaky with me words because I've had a few champagnes.
Yeah.
So I'm ruining your talk.
No, you're not.
It's fine.
Okay. So. But yeah, it was a thing with damaging of ancient sites, which is again damaging of sites, or at least damaging the energies of the ley lines which these ancient sites are on, is something that is another theme that runs through a lot of the conference. So yeah, Andrew was, as I say, talking about the trouble of taking copious notes on one of these reporter-style notebooks is that somehow you get a little bit confused as you're flipping them along as to which audio. We've got like a wine and cheese evening, or champagne and. No, thank you. Okay, so yeah, So yeah, the basic principle is that Stonehenge, along with other sites, has been put up there for the sonic resonances. I think Andrew's also mentioned it, and Hugh were talking about it along with about the sites in Turkey, amongst other things. And as I say, in Andrew Collins' book, Cygnus Key, he's also talking about it in Egypt. I do think, you know, it makes a lot of sense that these so it comes along as well with these sacred geometry, the proportions of these things, but they also create resonances, frequencies, music, if you like.
Probably healing.
Well, it will. Yes, it will be healing. Mentioned a site, Durrington Walls, which I don't think there's much now there visible, but in 2020 they found these massive stone shafts. So maybe 50 originally. Rodney Hale, who's someone that works with Andrew, talked about these could be sound resonators on the infrasound range. And there's this idea, again, you're talking about the shaman, but different frequencies can create altered states of consciousness. So again, you've got different frequencies, energy, sound, music, just like Liz and I dancing, and you dancing, that can change the energy, that can change frequency.
That's why we did it.
That's why Liz did it. See, you didn't know this.
Too. I did bloody know this.
No, but I'm just saying you didn't know I was going to talk about it, you Wally. So, see, apparently John Michel, the famous sort of old archaeologist, wrote about ancient sites. In his book, I think, View Over Atlantis, he talked about the Aeolian harp. So I think, again, this idea of like Stonehenge and other sites resonating sound. So there's the idea as well that there's some sort of basic sound to the universe, or some original sound to the universe, and they're trying to approach that frequency or that resonance. Now, Andrew mentioned, now I think this is, he said it was, he said a geologist has, or geologists have tested the stone which make the altar stone at Stonehenge. Now, this has genuinely been thought to be, or it has been testing done before, which has said that it's from these Welsh region, which is where a lot of these stones were brought from, which Andrew mentioned as well. These sort of blue stones that were brought from a region of Wales, and certainly some were, and that they potentially were chosen because of they're producing these frequencies, this resonance, which was key to achieving this sort of sonic temple. But apparently there's been a fairly new testing of this altar stone, which said it's actually from the Orkney Islands. Now that's another little thing, because funny enough, I'm going to the Orkney.
Who's bloody abandoned his wife for the third time in 6 months?
Yeah, it'll be me.
Yeah.
About 3 months.
Good, I'll be glad to get bloody rid of you.
Yeah. So we can expect some
so
stone.
You're not going to be here next bloody weekend?
No, I'm going up next Saturday. There will be reportage.
Is there Wi-Fi up there?
Yeah, it's Scotland. It's north of Scotland, I believe.
If you're in the middle of nowhere, you know.
Well, people do live there, so there should be internet. Yeah.
Well, you can do a bloody live stream there.
Yeah, quite possibly. Next Saturday probably. I can maybe, because I'll be on a ferry until nearly midnight.
It's going to be live stream on a ferry.
It's going to be an all-day trip.
Like a nightmare.
It's going to be well.
What day do you start?
Well, it's all going to be in one day, but it's going to be a whole day. Saturday.
So what time do you leave on Saturday morning?
I think the flight's something like 7 or something.
So hold on, did I say I was driving you somewhere early in the morning?
No.
Thank Christ for that.
No.
Did I change your mind?
No, you never said that. I never asked and you never said.
So what have you got to do? Get to Bristol Airport?
We're going to get to Bristol Airport and
What
then
time?
I can't remember yet. I'll have a look. It's early. But anyway, they've got a bus from Bath. I'll probably just get a taxi to Bath and then.
What time?
I don't know yet, lovely. I'll check it. It's early, but
I'll
check
you
it.
and your bloody travel, which means I got to get out of bed.
So you haven't got to, but so yeah, basically I'm gonna
Live stream on a ferry. It sounds like a song.
What's your
Liverpudlian song.
Oh yeah.
Live stream on a ferry.
Yeah,
that'll do.
So yeah, basically, well, I messed up a bit because I didn't book. I didn't book things too late. Things were booked up. Obviously, it's peak time.
Not like you.
Yeah, there were reasons for it.
Okay.
Anyway, so I'm long and short of it, I'm flying to Edinburgh from Bristol. Then I'm getting the train from Edinburgh to Aberdeen, and then I'm getting the ferry from Aberdeen to the Orkney Islands. Oh, Neil used to live in the Orkney Islands, doesn't he?
Well, Neil might not want us doxing his family.
I didn't say.
Shake your face up there.
Didn't say there was any family.
Hush.
There's anything more.
Edit it out.
But anyway, Orkneys did get mentioned one or two other times apart from this. But anyway, it just jumped at me that there was, funny enough, this connection with the Orkneys when going there very soon. So as I say, it may probably be controversial. That's not the mainstream view, and as I say, other geologists have said it's
Tell them why you're going there.
Well, maybe I can talk about a bit more in those.
Keeping them hanging till they come back.
But there is a particular site, again, talking about things being covered over, where there's can't remember the name of it now, which is a reason not to mention it. But there is a site there, like an old settlement, which has been excavated the last few years. Is it Tarabray? Anyway,
That rings a bell.
But there's one particular site which they've been excavating for several years, every summer, which has come up with loads of great stuff that's really old and produced.
Scarabray.
Is it Scarabray? Is that the site? Because there's also stone circles. Anyway,
It's a village.
Yeah. Anyway, for some reason they've said, "Oh, yeah, we've got loads of stuff, so we don't need to excavate anymore."
In other words, they found something that they don't want us to fucking see.
You sound like a conspiracy theorist. So after this summer, basically after the week I'm there, they're stopping excavation, and then it's going to be covered over back in. It's going to be ploughed back over into the field.
So many fucking videos of that, and send them to somebody that knows what we're talking about. Send them to Andrew and Hugh.
Well, they do a megalithomania tour up there anyway. But I'm not doing their tour. I'm going to be going on to me.
I think you should go up there when they go up there and just follow them and just like hide behind a newspaper every time they look round.
I think actually, I don't actually think either of them are going. I think it's going to be someone else leading it for megalithomania. But anyway, but yeah, I can still sort of follow behind at a safe distance.
What have they found?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Who knows? Anyway,
bones.
We'll see. We'll talk about it more after I've been there. But that was a particular reason. I wanted to go there anyway for all the ancient sites and all these. It looks an incredible place. And I read where my surname Froud comes from. It originated in the Orkney Islands. The Vikings, obviously, the later settlement. Vikings were there. And what became the surname Froud, it was originally like a first name or a nickname, meaning wise person.
Dickhead.
Dickhead.
It meant dickhead.
Yeah. Mistranslated. But the forms of the name include Frodo, which
Oh, that was our
so they were
doggy.
related to Lord of the Rings. But then I mean, there's like various different spellings.
You can see
of
he's a
Fran.
Viking, can't you?
Well, I'm getting the beard. Thank
By
you.
his dancing.
Viking
That
dancing.
was very shamanic.
Yeah. So yeah, there's also a little bit of connection there, which I'm interested to go to see. But I'm only going to be there for a few days. But like I say, I want to see this place which is closing down, but also obviously see the other, or try and get to see a lot of the other sites that are there, the amazing stone circles. Yeah, so lots to see there. So I will be doing videos and reporting back. So there's apparently a similar watchstone on the Orkney mainland near Stennes Bodgar. So Andrew, as I say, controversial as to whether this altar stone was brought all the way from the Orkneys, but in general, Andrew's suspecting that, or believes that the same people, the people that become known or have been termed the grooved ware people. That sounds like an 80s band, doesn't it? Grooved ware people.
Green Tea says take a magnet and compass.
Oh yeah, well, I've got me dowsing rods. I can't forget them this time. Our lovely friend Pete made us all dowsing rods, and well, you would have seen that on the videos that we've got on the channel.
6 nutters go to Avebury.
6 nutters go to Avebury, and we also had one at the Chalice Well as well, didn't we? But when Pete first gave us our personal,
like 3 nutters go to Glastonbury or something.
3 years.
I didn't.
We need to download these videos before we get kicked off. Don't want to lose all those. So these grooved ware people that were known to be up there in the Orkneys, and I don't think it's just Andrew saying this, that these people that then came down through the British Isles and were in what's around here, the West Country. So I think it was sort of 4th millennium BC. They came over from Northern Europe. And what Andrew was saying, obviously, we had these. The previous talks about the people that went down into what's now Turkey and did Göbekli Tepe, and it's the same. He was talking about how they came from Asia, around Siberia, and migrated down to what's now Turkey, and then going towards Egypt, all that sort of thing. So what he was saying is while some of those people came south from is it the Ural Mountain, sort of around the Ural Mountains, I think I got that right. So they went down to the south of the mountain, around the bottom of the mountain range, and ended up around sort of Turkey and Middle East, and then another lot of the same sort of origin people that went north over the north of these mountain range from the same region of Asia, Siberia, and they ended up coming in over into Northern Europe, and then from there to the Orkney Islands. If only people could see. I think you should come around and show people.
No.
And then came around to the Northern Europe, and then to the Orkneys, and then down through the British Isles. So it's fascinating, all the connections between these ancients, and there does seem to be so many connections in terms of structures of megalithic sites, designs that were carved, that sort of thing. So there seem to be connections with different people. So the grooved ware people were sort of termed such because they made these objects that had all these grooves marked on them, ceramics.
Groovy.
A
bit like us.
Back to the 80s. So the stones of Stennes, which hopefully I'll be seeing in the Orkney, was sort of 3000 BC. I think the oldest stone circle in Britain. But there's other amazing sites, Ring of Brodgar. The idea that there was some resonance, like you've got sacred geometry underpinning the universe, which I say a previous speaker had been talking about. There's also the idea that there's these frequencies that are connected with them as well. Incidentally, Andrew was saying these sites, these grooved wear people, it is such an 80s band name.
Ego said, no, DJ said Sonic Temple was a good name for a band.
There is a band, isn't there? No, there was an album, wasn't it? The Cult? Sonic Temple? Pretty sure there is an album called Sonic Temple. But apparently a lot of these grooved wear sites are associated with UFO phenomena in more recent times.
Sonic Temple Art and Music Festival, hard rock and metal festival held in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, that's not what I'm trying.
Oh yeah, no, and the Cult, fourth album. Well done, babe.
Oh yeah. We'd quite like to go and see them actually. I think they are playing in Bristol, but sold out. A bit slow on that one. Saw them many years ago.
You know that? Look,
No.
I'm just gonna nothing. Ignore me.
Oh. So.
Sonic Temple Pilots.
Yeah, that's it. There was a band as well. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So, Andrew mentioned these carved stone balls, which are you get in the Orkney Islands. Again, they've got these shapes: polyhedral, dodecahedron, these geometrical forms, and then you look at these big megalithic sites, and they're like these forms that have been put into the landscape. So maybe it's the ancients' way of connecting with the landscape, and obviously also the heavens through this sacred geometry, which is connecting up. Obviously, we know it connects up with all these astronomical alignments, but also I think it connects with this on a sonic sound level, resonances. But yeah, people like the Pythagoreans, Philolaus, talked about these shapes. I think the dodecahedron expression of quintessence.
They like that.
Yeah, big on that.
What's his name? Wrote about that. Manly P. Hall.
Manly P. Hall. He wrote about it as well, apparently.
No, he wrote about Pythagoras writing about it.
Philolaus, divine harmonia, fitting together music, the music of spheres. I think Andrew has well mentioned that in the Cygnus Key book. The relationship between music and maths.
Yeah.
So again,
Pythagoras was well into that.
Yeah, and he learned stuff from the ancient Egyptians.
Yeah.
Green Tea says Sonic Temple Pilots. Yeah. DJ Mamie P. Hall's books are worth reading. You've been listening to online.
Online. You don't have to bloody read them. Christ alive. It's online. I've been listening to it on Rumble, I think. Hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of it.
Right.
The only way I can do it is when I'm doing my painting, I've got to have it on the background because I get a bad neck if I sit down and read something for too long, and then I can't do my painting. But yeah, it's all online.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having the physical book some stage, but Green Tea said, Liz, if you look at my profile, there's a playlist.
I've replied to her. You're like 10
hours. Oh, sorry.
You're 10 hours.
Well, I'm trying to multitask here. I mean,
bother with it?
I've been blooming dancing like a ridiculous situation.
So have I.
Yeah.
Get on with it.
So yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna, like I say, I don't get this geometry stuff. It's one of these things, like a lot of this mathematical stuff, which I don't get, but I sort of can understand there's something about it. But again, it's like I say, it followed the previous guy talking about this geometry of the universe, but how that connects also to every single person, and you can get this balance. And it's a sort of relationship between the person and the universe. But apparently some Poincaré said the universe had to be dodecahedral. So Andrew was also referring to this cosmic microwave background, which science have come up with. But again, apparently there's got these dodecahedral shapes in it.
Yeah, you love that. You love that shape.
Yeah. So, talking about the idea of a primeval sound of creation.
Yeah.
And this, like you say about healing, this is talk about cymatics, which is a fascinating thing about
it's like
how
sound. It's like
Yeah, so sound resonances have physical manifestations in matter.
Yeah, well, we know they do. You've only got to look at, like stuff on top of a drum, innit? Is it sand or something on top of a drum and things like that? There's and obviously there's that Kawachi Hashimoto.
Yep.
Him.
Well, someone worth checking out.
Yeah. Oh, there's a woman as well, isn't there? Yeah, carry on.
There's a woman. Andrew, in fact, showed us a video. Now, I couldn't find it because I would have liked to try and play it, but hopefully maybe people can find it themselves. But John Stewart Reed, he's been doing a program like looking at cymatics and looking into its healing properties, as Liz talked about.
I think it's a never-ending bottle of champagne.
Wow!
And most of it went on the fucking floor.
Brilliant.
Kayla bought me this about 5 years ago. Oh,
that's all right. It's your Christmas champagne, so
yeah. My son, he bought me this. I'm a little Reed at the back. He's a posh head, my son. Fortnum and Mason gone. I'll go now.
All right.
I could have some chocolate. Do you want some?
In a minute.
Do you want a sip of that?
No.
Because I've had it all. Do you want a Guinness?
In a minute. I've got a little bit here. I'll do me.
It's rubbish when I'm in here drinking because you get no fucking work done.
Well, we haven't quite finished Friday yet, so we might not might not make the whole weekend.
I blame me.
I blame you too.
Oh.
But anyway.
They like interjections.
Yeah. But anyway, John Stewart Reed, do check it out because I can't remember the name of the program, but Cymoscope, I think. But they've been doing those experiments with different frequencies, resonances, different kilohertz or hertz, and there seems to be something about this 7.97 as
DJ
being.
I know about kilohertz. He knows all sorts of things about music, I think.
7.97 hertz as being an important resonance. I mean, I think, well, you mentioned the Schumann resonance in terms of our dancing.
Yeah, we've made a spike in that.
But yeah, and there was a video showing, which Andrew showed from this John Stewart Reed's project, and they had this 7.97 hertz, and it actually created, you saw a blue plasma ball appearing above the water, emerged into existence.
What?
At this,
who did?
A blue plasma ball
fucking hell.
Came out of the water at
what?
this particular.
Are you kidding me or what?
Yeah. So, and Andrew referred back to his book, which is 1992, I think, as I say, about crop circles. And I do really want to go back and get some of Andrew's earlier works.
He's good in.
I will. But he did a book on crop circles way back 1992. So apparently the 90s was the peak time for crop circles. Apparently there was like hundreds, and it was mental. Pete was telling me on there.
It was mental.
Yeah, I mean, but it really.
Yeah.
Literally, people were going round and like there was there's one. Oh, there's another one. And amazing designs. You know, some of the most famous ones.
Mark was in a pop circle the other day.
I mentioned that.
Oh.
They know. But I will put that as a separate video because I've actually got some footage of that. But back in 1992, when the Circle Makers came out, Andrew wrote that crop circles, he believed, are from plasma intelligences, and again, that connects back to the Robert Temple book. And he was talking. Oh, yeah. I mean, he was talking about these cool D.I.S.C.O clouds, and how they can be some of this mega brain. Well, extraterrestrial or on the edge of the atmosphere, between Earth and the Moon, how they could be this super intelligence made of plasma and things like ball lightning. And we know you often see, there's been reports of sort of ball lightning or strange lights around the forming of crop circles. And Andrew was saying crop circles form from plasma intelligences. So again, a connection of energy vortices producing producing geometry. So many of these crop circles are incredibly complex geometrical shapes. The whole crop circle thing, I won't go into that now. Maybe, as I say, maybe do a film on it at some stage. It's something I hadn't looked into massively, but starting to get more interested in. But although there's been a decrease apparently in crop circles over the last few years, what the reason for that is, I don't know. But
maybe it's because we're all so fucking depressed.
Well, some people say, oh, they were given a message. We've either got the message, so they're all right, we don't have to bother keep banging on about it.
Or we're like, fuck you, and they're like, oh, fuck off then.
Or we're like, well, you haven't got the message after all these years?
Oh, fuck off.
Sod that.
Shove it up your ass.
So there's two possible.
I can relate to that higher intelligence.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of people think or accept that some of it is at least made by humans, or possibly when we were in the Stone Circle on Thursday, and I was with my friends Tony and Pete, who've been in a number of crop circles before, and they were thinking maybe that they'd been created by something non-human, but then there'd been human interference with it. And that apparently could be a thing quite often with these crop circles. So why?
Maybe somebody's fucking it up.
Well, yeah, because they're trying to disrupt the energy, trying to disrupt the message, trying to make it so if there's because people are studying it. Oh, that's a sign of being man-made. Know certain things to look at. So if something forms by whatever inhuman form, and then some humans go in there and mess it up a little bit, so people can go in there and go, oh look, there's those signs that it's obviously been human. Anyway, I don't know, it's such a deep.
Have green tea to go to India.
Green tea, go to India.
Don't wait around for it to come to you. We learnt that through lockdown. I always thought Norway and Ireland would eventually turn up in Bargates where we live. It didn't. So after lockdown, we were like, fucking hell, we better do it then. She always wanted to go there, so just fucking get there. Do it. You have to just do it.
Do it. I went there actually probably around that time of '92. That's basically when I went to India.
You can't wait around and expect these things to come to you, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, fuck you, you're not leaving the country. So do it. By hook or by crook.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Definitely do it, because we don't know what they've got planned.
That's why you went to go back to Tepe, and that's why you go to the Orkney. You just got to fucking do these things.
Yeah, all these things. I mean,
while you can.
Yeah, well, yeah, particularly the abroad one.
Yeah.
I think, this is the time if you can.
Just do it.
Just do it. Just do it, as Liz beautifully put there.
I'm eating.
Yeah. DJ says do green tea. I think there is some low frequency sound warfare being used. And everyone, I think that is a thing.
Yeah.
And yes, we are ruled by crooks.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think again we won't go into that and get banned. But there is all these things with electricity and sound, which we know they know about, and so much of what more recent things that are being brought in are probably just increasing what they've already been doing. And yes, they can control people. They can certainly affect mood. So they do know all these things that the ancients knew about, but they're manipulating them in their own way. So that was a brilliant talk by Andrew Collins, as per usual. I don't know. That was the end of Friday. Do we want to keep going?
Get on with it.
Do we want to keep going, people?
It's only 9:30. I've got loads to eat. I saved you some ice cream, but I might have it.
I ate it yesterday.
Pighead. Keep going, everybody's saying.
Keep going. Right. All right. Well, you've only got yourselves to blame.
Yeah. I'm going to bed in a minute.
Right. I won't go into detail on all the speakers.
And don't forget, sorry, we got to say this. I keep forgetting to say it. Thumbs up it.
Thumbs up it.
You probably already have, but
Like, that is
we
thumbs
keep
up it.
forgetting to say that sort of thing.
Yeah, they're sick to death of us anyway.
I'm sick to death of it, but you're still supposed to say it.
Yeah.
Oh, and your blog and shit like that, you're supposed to be promoting.
The Lost Child Blogspot.
We got a link to it. We got a link to it.
Oh, we've got a link to it.
Yeah.
We've got a link to it, apparently. I did, for the first time in years, write an article about recent.
Well done, DJ. You're doing well with your beer. You're doing well.
You're doing well done. Well done, DJ. I did do, did a blog about recent events in the last week. So you can have a look, read there if you want, because
You're supposed to. We forget to do that shit.
We did. So yeah, I won't go through everyone in detail, but Saturday morning, traditionally, Andy Thomas, one of the organisers of the symposium, familiar to many of you, he's a great speaker. I mean, he puts it in a way, and there's probably the reason why he's so often brought on to sort of mainstream TV programs to give opinions on things, because he does it in a really good way, but a non-confrontational way, and he sort of, it sounds a bit like he's hedging his bets, like, I'm not necessarily saying this is a thing, but maybe it's but I think it's all around trying to get people to think about things, and for those who are normies, not sure about a lot of stuff we go into, he's quite a good introduction to it. I think he's a good person. If you knew someone that was really not 100% at all on what we talk about, he'd be quite a good person of showing a video to get in a gentle way into a lot of the more esoteric things or conspiracy things that we talk about. So he traditionally does this Saturday morning slot. He probably takes it upon himself to do the sort of so-called hangover slot. But yeah, I won't go into detail about what he talked about, but he mentioned a bit about what he talked about in the last year's, which was around AI and all the things about AI and the dangers of AI and how that's going to change our society and that sort of thing. Now, the thing is, he said as part of it, but oh god, this is going to get triggered.
I think it's a bag of shit. This.
Okay, just let me explain.
Just picture.
Can you just let me explain?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So the cover of the. Hang on, let's get it in view. Where am I going? Yeah, I've got it. I've got it. So this program. So he said sort of during it, it's like, oh. Some few people come up to me and said, "Oh, the program's really good," and no one said, "Oh, it's AI, isn't it?" So I don't think anyone noticed.
Well, I would have fucking noticed.
And to be honest, I'd already thought. I mean, partly because the talk he did last year when he was showing pictures like this, where he I think it was his son-in-law, where they'd used AI and just as an experiment, said certain things like, "Oh, design a poster for the symposium," had things in there like, UFOs, Glastonbury, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Now, I thought, and again, it's the same on this. I thought it was quite interesting because you would think with AI, with obviously all the images of the tour, Glastonbury tour, that are on the internet, 1,000,001 images.
That's just for me.
Yeah, exactly. Check out Liz's art. Did you know that Liz is making art for sale? Crafty Nihilist, Etsy.
I do pictures of Glastonbury tour that doesn't make it look like Glastonbury lump.
Yeah, that was that's what I noticed though, and it's like strange because for an AI.
It's horrible, DJ. It's shit.
For something that's
horrible.
Yeah.
And you're putting an artist out of a job. Sorry, I got cross about that.
Okay. for something that is so much on the internet, I can't understand. I would have thought AI intelligence, I mean, could almost, I know the idea is that it's sort of painting it rather than just putting up a photograph of the tour, but you would have thought surely if it's so great, it could just do a complete like for like drawing, like you see those people who do the amazing life like art that looks like a photograph. But this doesn't actually look like the tour at all. And I was when there were images like this on last year's symposium, to me it was like it's like somehow something was resistant about, either it was resistant from the tour being represented by AI, or AI didn't want to represent it. I don't know. That's probably just some hippie like nonsense on my part, but
AI's just shit.
But yeah.
Anybody's art is better than that, Johnny.
Yeah.
Because it has no soul.
Yeah. So I thought that's a good sign, because this idea, creative people will be losing their jobs because everything could be done through AI. Someone just says, oh, AI, do me a picture. But actually, that is a perfect example of it. Just really can't. It really can't do capture the beauty of a really creative person that's
sitting next to you.
So yeah,
I've got this thing. I'm anti. I cannot stand it.
Yeah, no, and that's fair enough. So I mean, yeah, I won't fully go into Andy's talk. He spoke brilliantly as always. He was going through a lot of stuff also about ETs, and that was mentioned again in the later talk, and about the whole idea of the official sort of suppression of things about there being extraterrestrial intelligence, UFOs, and now obviously there's official sort of recognition. They're doing it in a sort of creepy, releasing certain things and saying, oh, these things we can't explain them. They could be something. There's something that we can't explain. But yeah, okay. I won't go into much more on that. But yeah, he spent a lot of time starting on talking about the day the Earth was still. I suppose this idea of where they present the alien threat as being, or the aliens as being a threat.
Didn't they send that film up into space? There was one film. Yeah, there was one film they sent up into space for the aliens.
Mm-hmm. Well, that would be strange, though, wouldn't it?
Oh, they are strange, babe.
Because that as a whole thing, with it starts off with the soldiers shooting.
Yeah.
So
I think it was that. I'm looking, but
so it's like, let's show the aliens that we're hostile, because that won't be a bad thing at all. But yeah. Sorry, I'm just having a quick flip through just to see if there's something else that I should. I mean, he was saying the idea that extra AI would be needed for any sort of extraterrestrial travel. Mind you, we know about how, see how that went.
Open the pod bay doors, Harley.
Wow, that was uncanny. That was.
I know.
Yeah.
What was his name? The bloke. Sorry. What was his name?
Dave.
Sorry, Dave.
There's always a Dave, isn't there? There's always a Dave, even in outer space. Cheers.
Sorry, Dave.
But yeah, I mean, Andy, like a lot of, as I say, the symposium began as a purely crop circle.
Yeah.
All crop circles. And Andy Thomas is still very much connected to crop circle world. But this idea of crop circles announcing something, But yeah, it's like I don't know. There is just definitely something there. I think definitely there's a huge percentage. I haven't fully got into it, but from what I've learned in recent times, I mean, those images, the complex images. Well, I mean, the whole Doug and Dave thing. Just the fact that they put that out, and I remember reading that as a kid, teenager, whatever it was. I can't remember exactly what year it came out. Late 80s, was it? They put this story out, and it's like, oh yeah, it's these two guys. They produced all the crop circles.
And then we went and had a pasty.
Oh yeah, they come out of the pub, and what could be better than having a pint and a pork pie and making a crop circle?
That's literally what they said. I've actually got that on one of my videos.
I mean, it's such. I mean, and then you see after that article, I mean, it exploded, as I say, in the 90s, and the incredible complex designs, and these things that came up in. I mean, so on the crop circle tour, Roland and I just remember the lady's name, the Dutch couple that took it, and Nancy Paulette. But also I had the honour of sitting next to Pete, and he was at least as knowledgeable as both of those, because he'd also been studying crop circles since the early 90s, and yeah, studying them and going around them. So he had so many stories. But he said, like some of these, there was like a famous one, I forget which one on which site, but incredibly complex. And he actually spoke to, I mean, farmers. Some are really hostile about people visiting the crop circles. Some like plough them over after about an hour, like these incredible shapes, and they're like ploughed through within an hour. But this particular farmer was okay with people going to see this site, and it might have been the one that had like 40 plus, circles within it. Just incredible design. And he was like, yeah, I was up there on this place right by where all these incredible circles were formed. I was there like 10 o'clock, up to 10 o'clock the night before, and there was nothing there. And I was back, because good old farmer, not many of them left. He was back up there at like 5 o'clock in the morning to start the next day doing whatever he needed to do. And this crop circle was there. So in the space of about 6 or 7 hours, this incredibly, amazingly complex geometrical thing had been created in this field. The thing is some of these things, if they are man-made, human-made, they must be done using some technology and something, that's obviously got major funding, military type equipment or whatever around it, because it can't be made even by an army of 100 people with boards and pieces of ropes and strings and all that. It's just impossible. But anyway, that's maybe another story. But yeah, Andy finished with a Lord of the Rings quote, which may have been a saving grace for Liz if she'd been there to watch it. But it was the bit where Frodo's talking to Gandalf, and I think it's probably right early on, before he goes off with the ring, and he was saying, "Oh, I wish this wasn't happening. Sauron wasn't coming back in my time." And Gandalf says, "So do I, and all of us do, but we all have to decide. We're in this time, and we've got to decide what to do with this time that's given to us and the opportunity."
He says it in the cave, I think. He says it in under the mountain.
Oh, right, okay. But yeah, so that's, I suppose, a positive. Not a call to arms, but a call to at least fight back in spirit about things.
Dance.
The power of dance. Interpretive dance.
I'd like to see him interpret that.
Okay, so I won't go through detail of other talks. Just to mention briefly, they were certainly good in their own way. Jeff Stray, we'd seen him talk about the Chartres labyrinth before. So the cathedral in Chartres in France, had talked about France before, and obviously we know what's going on with the Olympics now. So stuff is kicking off around France. All this symbolism.
Do you remember we said about France, didn't we? Because for the first time ever, they had the changes of the guards were French. Do you remember? We said, what the fuck's going to happen to France?
Yeah.
There was a couple of things, and we said, what's going to go on in France?
Yeah. Yeah. I have to look back on that. But yeah, because when I was doing my alchemy talks, so much of that was around France. And obviously the
guillotine.
No,
but that's trending.
Guillotine's trending.
Yeah.
Well, that's good, isn't it? Well, I suppose that was a revolution, but we know that gets manipulated. People don't get manipulated.
They're trying to make people
want to go to the streets.
Yeah, and oh look, it's working.
And like, we've got draconian powers in to control people. Maybe they're in the dwarf caves, Margaret says. Yeah, it's the same. Yeah. Green tea. Several American Indian tribes talk of the ant people that took them in underground when the sun went crazy and they couldn't survive. Yeah, there's so much with the Native American.
Which is happening again.
Yeah. So anyway, the Chartres labyrinth. Just to mention briefly, it's in this Chartres cathedral. Jeff Stray, he was there years and years ago. This has gone on for years. Obviously, the lockdowns all interfered with things. But he noticed that apparently there's supposed to be a thing where there's like a nail there where on the summer solstice, I think it's a summer solstice, I could be wrong. But anyway, one of the solstices, the light hits this nail on the floor. But then there's all this like labyrinth on the floor, marked out. But normally it's covered with chairs. But it was sort of like a lucky, on the particular day that he was there, they cleared away chairs for. They used to clear away the chairs on this certain times of the year. But what Jeff was there's all these cups around the labyrinth, and he basically worked out that again it forms a sort of a astrological or astronomical calendar, and marking these different solstices and equinoxes, the different positions of the sun and moon, and the way the light comes through from the windows and light shines on these different cups, and it goes around as a big circle, and it's marking a big calendar thing, like a lot of the stone circles do, and that sort of thing. So you've got this amazing. Apparently, there's he was saying there is an ancient dolmen within the basement of the cathedral. So again, it's been one of these things where a Christian site has been built up over and taken on a pagan site.
Some people think that dolmens are where giants are buried, like important giants are buried.
Could well be. Interesting. So anyway, again, talking about ancient sites cover-ups, because as I say, Jeff, different reasons why he wasn't able to get back there to try and track the lights and a different time, work out that this was true. And as I say, so much at the time this chairs over the labyrinth, but he went back there at a certain time after lockdown, and they completely changed the cathedral. They'd like blacked out the windows, or they'd done all this sort of renovation work,
So you couldn't see the sound.
yeah, you couldn't see these things. And then there was lots of sort of hostility. People they tried to talk to about it, like, no, this is rubbish and pagan nonsense, and all this hostility, not wanting to look into it. So again, it was very interesting, Jeff Stray's work on this. But again, I think, for me, the big take on was that just another example where an ancient site, ancient knowledge is being repressed. They don't want people to know about it. So there was a panel, as they always do on a Saturday, when there are several different people up there, and then the audience got to ask questions. Our friend Gemma was one of the panelists. There was also, apologies, I forget his first name, but Porterhouse, one of the organisers. And Dan Vidler, who spoke later about crop circles, was up there. And Peter Knight, who spoke the next day, and Sandy Adams. So a few questions about the state of the world, and also people asked them about their personal experiences, psychic experiences, which they sort of relayed. Most of them, how they sort of gave them a different insight into the world. Really good. Piers Adams and Lindy Mail. They do a group called, I can't remember their. Sorry, people, just got to remember their name. But they're musicians, and their group is called Baroque Alchemy. It is really good stuff. So the idea is, I guess it's this old musical styles, Baroque, but they got a synthesizer amongst there. So it's trying to take old styles of music and do something different with them. So they were playing some of their music, which was great, but also they were talking about their experience of musicians in general during the lockdowns, and they showed some images, which I'm sure we've seen. The ridiculous image of where you got these poor a school band, and they got like their instruments, but they're in these sort of like pod things, like little like tent things. So Lindy said, I mean, it is hilarious, and it's like, oh, this is so ridiculous, but at the same time, it's also really sad, because these are kids, and they were like, they're just completely traumatized by these experiences. Just the whole thing was obviously about, amongst all the other things, but it was destroying musical expression, creativity, and of course people being joined together and associated with each other, and that's obviously all part of it. But yeah, they came across really well, and the music's good, so I recommend it. Baroque Alchemy, if you want to check that out. Do you want to share anything, Liz?
I'm just pausing us dancing and then taking screenshots.
Christ, that'll be a montage later.
We're hilarious. We're fucking idiots.
Dan Vidler, I won't go into detail about it at all, but he was talking about crop circles. So yeah, I'm just getting more and more knowledge about crop circles as we go, and it does seem to connect so much to lots of these things. We talk about ancient sites, and as I say, there's mentions on a few of the talks about ley lines, connecting energies, and about how these have been disrupted, and that we need to sort of try and maybe reclaim these energies or reignite these energies, like Liz and I were doing dancing. So, and that, maybe I'll go on to the final talk on the Saturday. I have to apologise to Marcus Patchett. I didn't see the Astral Apothecary, Plant Medicine from the Stars. I am sorry. There are some talks that you have to sort of miss as you go along, really, because I just needed to get a bit of a break at that point. But the end talk on the Saturday, Fergus O'Connor Greenwood. So he wrote the 180 Degrees book, which we got. But yeah, you can find it. We saw him at the Uprise and Shine, and he was a really powerful speaker, and he was a really powerful speaker again today. Well, when I saw him this time. So we titled this talk Spiritual War. So he's got a new book coming out soon called Spiritual War. So the idea of the 180 Degrees book was that you could say give it to someone that didn't, again, was a normie or didn't know about our side of things, and it had a huge amount of information going through loads of stuff, lots of quotes, evidence, to persuade people. The idea was that you turn them 180 degrees so they see in the other direction, they see what they haven't seen before. And I started going through it, and it is really well put together. Some people said to me, "Oh, well, it's a lot of quotes." I mean, he sort of says that in the book, that he uses a lot of quotes, but it's all part of it's like witnessing things, I suppose. It's getting. I don't know. I think he puts it in a good way, and it's got a lot of factual information on there. As someone also said to me though, the symposium, it's a really thick book. So if you're giving it to someone, and it's like that doesn't believe what we believe, and it's like, look through this book and it will change your mind, they'll be like, well, I ain't gonna bloody look through that. It's massive.
Yeah, we bought it and even opened it.
I've opened it. I actually started to read it through it before the symposium because I knew I was gonna be watching it. But seeing him talk at Rise and Shine, he did finish basically saying he felt that it was a spiritual war that we were going through. So I mean, he goes through a lot of factual information about how the world's got to this point, if you like, different things about false flags, but lots of things we know about the Federal Reserve, manipulations of the economies, social manipulation, mind control, all these things. But yeah, he's maybe now stressing with the next.
They missed the title of the book. I'll go and get it.
Sorry. 180 Degrees was the book that you're about to see, but that's the book that is already out. Been out for, I guess, a couple of years. So the idea that people were turned 180 degrees.
Oh, the good thing about the book is he did it so that you can it's got QR codes in for the idiots.
Yeah, I think that is good. So he obviously knows that people people in the modern age, obviously younger people specifically, they want to see stuff online. So yeah, there's like this says, a lot of different points. There'll be QR codes put in so that they can just scan something on their phone and hopefully the link still works. I haven't actually tried it. But yeah, it's from what I read, it's good. It's definitely good. But yeah, sorry. To get it right in the camera, but that's just a little first bit of the contents page. But so it was a very powerful and hard-hitting.
He's a very good talker.
He's a very good talker. It's very powerful and hard-hitting. I mean, he does use humour. He has to get back. but yeah, it was very powerful. Basically, he had a clip of a woman, and I'm not going to doubt what she was saying, an Australian woman who was doing a clip specifically for him to present at the symposium, and she described being a victim of things I probably can't
SRA.
say. Yeah. So yeah, things to do with the
SRA.
horned deviled one. And all right, I didn't know some people might know what SRA is.
I'll have to bloody look it up. We've got one strike left.
But yeah, sort of graphically mentioned what happened to her, and so yeah, obviously that's, you know, it's never easy to hear that, but she was very bravely speaking, and she mentioned that these things were carried out on ley lines, and it was all about trying to disrupt and take over the energy.
Which means it's around here. And we've got loads of weird eyes wide shut mansions around here. Literally, we're surrounded by them.
Well, I'm not denying that that doesn't happen, but as I say, she's in Australia, so it would have been the equivalent there. But yeah, but that idea. So again, as I say, the other speakers were talking about, you know, getting and energizing these ancient sacred sites, ley lines, in a good way. So, and the need to connect back to that for positive-minded people that want to fight back. And so I think that was important. This is showing, or talking about how the bad powers use those energies. And I'm not going to say anything about what happened in Britain on Monday, but that could be a version of that. And the need to take back the positive power with those energies, to reignite and reconnect with the land, with those ley lines, those energies. So Fergus was talking about the need to fight back. He also got a woman on stage, I think called Cheryl, who acted as a psychopomp. We know that word.
Wow.
And she was talking about her dad, who sadly died with the and how she helped his soul. She said, you know, to get free from the corruption of what had happened to it. So yeah, he was all talking about we're in a spiritual war, but you know, defiant message of we need to fight back. A few people in the audience were on, because he ended with I wasn't sure he had on his t-shirt a date, which as I say, I've got my little bits of paper. Oh, so 16 the 3rd, 12:44. But then right at the end of the talk, he started talking about the Cathars, and again I mentioned them during the course of the alchemy talks. And yeah, horrendous what happened to them, genocide, because they.
I don't know if I say that word anymore. They don't happen anymore, those, do they?
Well, they.
I don't know if you'll say that word anymore.
It's a bit late because I said it.
Oh fuck.
This was in 1244.
Who are you shouting at?
The algorithms, YouTube. So anyway, what he's saying at the end, he said, people here that are reincarnations of the Cathars stand up, and several people stood up, and then other people in the audience, like, that was the end of the presentation, and he was saying, right, you know, people are coming back to fight back, and people were saying, well, you know, these people just stood up, some of them seem reluctant, you know, I don't know if it was a necessary bit of theatre, whether these people had or not. It didn't really seem, wasn't
Fake news.
it didn't seem necessary really. It was what was a very powerful presentation anyway. But I think what he was trying to make a point from. Let me just find the name. I can't remember. I haven't noted down the name, unfortunately, but apparently there was like a premonition saying that after 700 years, this what happened to the Cathars, there would be a return, and they would return to have a whatever fight back of the world. I don't know. So he was saying that sort of that's what we're talking about now time.
Yoshimoto Banana.
What about him?
Is that a person?
Sounds like another great name for a band. What?
The premonition is a fairly simple story, a quest tale in a way, and comes complete with. No, that's not right.
But well, Green Tea said they'll never have spirits, and that's what they want the most. So yeah, I think that is the important message, really. So what Fergus is talking about is like we need an army of psychics. Now, when we saw Uprise and Shine, he was talking about remote viewers and getting loads of people that can remote view, because we put one on the mailing list.
Oh yeah, we didn't get a thing.
Not much happening. But what he's talking about is trying to get as many people on the right side of things who are spiritually aware to sort of like an army of psychics to fight back against the people in the other realm. He met
Gwilym Belibast. The Cathar prophecy. Here is the Cathar prophecy as it was told to me in 1321. The last Cathar leader, Gwilym Belibast, who was burned by the stake by the words.
Yeah.
Lots of words.
Oh, do you want to tell us the prophecy?
It goes on for about a week.
All right. But apparently it's this idea of 700 odd years, and people would come back. But yeah, they do some fascinating people, the Cathars, and what happened to them by the then sort of dominant powers of the Catholicism. Holy Roman
Cathars
Empire.
believed humans are in fact genderless angels, encased in mortal flesh.
But there were lots of interesting things. I remember reading about that when I was doing the alchemy book. They believe in reincarnation. And I think, again, it is in France. But yeah, it's one of these things where somehow what they were talking about, their beliefs, really threatened the empire of the time. So they had to be done away with in a really brutal way. I mean, it's described as like a crusade. That's almost like, I think, the last of the crusades, but it was actually on European soil against people that were, within France, what's now modern day France. There was like a siege of this fortress. It was their last holdout, and they held out for 10 months apparently before the last survivors giving up. They probably wished they didn't because they got burned alive. So probably better just to die in the siege. Anyway, so but yeah, Jerry Marzinski was who Liz has followed for some time and talked to you about before. He was referenced by Fergus.
My videos on his channel.
Oh yeah,
He put one of my videos on his channel.
He's got a video on his channel.
Me and Jerry are like that.
He said Liz made him laugh out loud because that's her inimitable style.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jerry, if you're not aware, talks about possession by entities, and that's really what schizophrenia is. These voices that people hear are not just facets of their subconscious
Hallucination.
or not hallucinations. They are actually entities that have taken them over. So again, he was looking at a lot of Jerry's work and protocols for trying to rid people of these entities. Again, possession, a spiritual war. So I think there was a hell of a lot in his talk, and I'm not going to deny a lot of the stuff that he's talking about. So yeah, he puts it in a really powerful way. Certainly, if you see him do I don't know if any of his talks are on the internet.
Say his name again.
Fergus O'Connor Greenwood. So he ain't going to be on YouTube. But yeah, he's a powerful speaker, and I'm sure there is, like we're talking about higher dimensions. I'm sure what's going on is definitely in those higher dimensions as well as down here in the material as well. So not long to go now, Liz. We're into Sunday.
What do you mean? Eh? I thought you meant we're literally into Sunday.
Well, not far off it. So yeah. Again, it was a beautiful day on Sunday. So I will confess, instead of going to the first two talks, I went up Glastonbury Tor in the sunshine. And I took a little bit of footage there. We might be able to get on the video at some when this can be bothered. So, but yeah, I went up Glastonbury Tor, and it was a beautiful day. So yeah, I thought it was nice to do that morning. So I did miss the first couple of.
Did it look like a lump when you got there? Glastonbury lump.
It didn't.
No,
no, it didn't. So anyway, but yeah, the first one I saw on Sunday was Peter Knight and Sue Wallace Knight, which I have seen them before, and
it's not that woman that takes her kit off, is it?
She didn't do it on stage, but they do tours. Stoneseeker.net.
She goes around taking her kit off by Stones. She does. I've seen it.
Oh yes. So but yeah, I've got one of their books as well, Albion Dreamtime. But I like the idea. Not that I follow it up yet. Maybe I will more in the future.
I can't stand James Dellenpole. I cannot fucking stand that bloke. I don't know why. There's just something. Sorry, Mark. James Dellenpole interviewed Fergus. He interviewed RDH, and I sent Richard Dior. I sent him an email saying I don't fucking trust him as far as I could throw him. I got this like intuition about Tucker Carlson, and I've got exactly the same feeling about this Dellenpole prick. There's just something about him. I don't fucking trust him. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah. DJ. Yeah, Languedoc was where the last Cathar got executed.
I think he's fake, Mari. I think he's fucking fake news. I get visceral fucking feelings from certain people. I get it from him and Carlson. I think he's fake. I think he's a shill. I think he's fake news. I cannot fucking stand him. I think he's come in and he's trying to get interviews with all these people to try and get some sort of fucking backdoor kudos where he's done nothing. I just get a bad feeling about. I get a really bad feeling about him.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So yeah, they go around sacred places, but they do in this talk they mentioned a few where they've gone to places in other countries. But as I say, they've done a lot. They do tours. They go to sacred sites in Britain, but not the famous ones. Well, they do some in the more famous circles like Stonehenge and Avebury, but they like to go to places which are not known by many people. Remember these caves or little known stone circles, and there's so many of these places around, where they're sort of simulacra, where there's sort of rock formations which look like humans or animals, places that were sacred sites in ancient times, but they're not revisited now. So they try and go back there and do shamanic drumming, do chanting, and they did some of that on stage. So again, back to music, resonance, sound, and they say sound resonance is key to opening these sites. So their idea is to go back to these ancient places. And they talk about myths being gifted to people. So it's they don't like to say that they discover these places. These places are there, and they're just, when they go there, they maybe really receive some knowledge, myths, downloads, whatever you want to call it. So I think their newest book is called Landscapes of Memory. So they're all about how our ancient DNA, our ancestors, are inscribed onto these ancient sites, and that's the same, around the world. So I just need to get back on track with me, the order, with me sheets of paper. So yeah, a lot of these sites are in caves. Obviously, we know about cave paintings, cave art. So maybe close to 100,000 years ago, some of these got full handprints 40,000 years ago. Incredible cave paintings, creatures. They're saying often, a lot of the most amazing art and markings that you find cave paintings, they're deep within the caves, in the darkest part. So it's like they really are like, these are symbolizing going to the other world. They're not just near the entrances. They've gone sometimes a kilometer from the entrance to the very darkest part. And a lot of some of the images, cave paintings, they're actually done around where cracks in the rock, so it's almost as if these animals are like emerging or going into the cracks. That's the way they've been drawn. So again, this idea that they're transitioning from one world to the other. But also, as I say, they often go into the caves with drums, etc., or singing, chanting, playing drums and other instruments. And they say it's often at the most resonant part of the cave where art or artifacts are. So again, it just shows the central importance of sound frequency to the ancient peoples. As I say, they mentioned a number of different places where, from sort of the moors around the west country of England to, North America and Europe. Talked about use of quartz quite often. But yeah, I probably won't go through all of their bits and bobs, but yeah, it was another good talk. I think it is good work they do, and it's maybe one of these days I'll do one of their tours, sort of thing, because it's sort of to get to some of the places, so I don't drive and stuff. It's like I would be interested. I do like the idea of going to places. A good friend Pete does a lot of it. He's a good inspiration. So, and he doesn't drive to these places either. So I should get off my bum and do it. But I think there is so much which is in the land, which again they're trying to keep us from, or it's just fallen out of favour or out of people's knowledge and memory. So again, going back to, as I say, it was another one of those little themes through the conference. The need to connect back with these ancient energy centers, energy sites, and the need to connect, for us to connect to them to help the earth and also get the energy to help us. And it's important to get that positive flow of energy around, as we did with our dancing. Dancing.
I've got another water bottle down my pants to try and, hey?
That's also
for me back.
That's also important for the flow of energy. The hot water bottle symbolised down Liz's pants.
It's for me back.
Is the flow of energy.
I think I overshare.
Yeah. Yeah. So Paulden Jenkins, I don't know if he's familiar to anyone. He wasn't to me, but apparently he's a long-standing. I think he used to be involved in the organisation years ago of the symposium. But he's a very, yeah, he's getting on a bit now, and he wasn't very well. Apparently he had cancer, although he's much better now. But he sat down. His talk was almost like the antithesis of Fergus and kind of Greenwood's, because Fergus is quite, it's high energy. Paulden, bless him. But he was like the wise man, he sat down in a chair because he couldn't stand up to talk for the whole.
That makes somebody wise. Sitting down, I must be fucking.
Yeah.
I must be like a bloody Buddha or something.
No, but I'm just saying he just. It was a very complete opposite in terms of the delivery. He's very slow and measured and just talking about his experiences. So again, he's someone that's been involved in lots of spiritual enterprises, crop circles. And he talked about, as a young man, sort of a young hippie, he basically sort of hitched around Britain and ended up in the Orkney Islands. So that was another mention of the Orkney Islands and how he was like, just without really knowing much about stuff and what was going on, he sort of stumbled across, I forget which one it was, but one of the stone circles in the Orkney Islands, and ended up just sort of like curling up and sleeping there overnight, sleeping rough in the circle. And he just said he felt, amazing energy from it, and started on his path. But the other thing was he has all these spiritual interests, if you like, and esoteric type things. But also he has done a lot of work with Palestinians, and he's been out there, he taught out there, done a lot of work with communities for decades, I think, and seen a huge amount of tragedy over the years. So he was talking about what was happening at the moment with the G word, which I'm not allowed to say.
G word?
We're not allowed to say.
What's going on in the other G word?
Yeah.
By the J words?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. And
pricks.
He was saying, it was interesting. He said he didn't want to be misunderstood when he was saying this, because he said, as I say, he's someone who spent a lot of time in Palestine, and he was saying so many people that he knew.
Are you allowed to say the P word?
Probably not anymore, but
it's been nice knowing you all.
No, it is coming to Newspeak now. I'm just going to say.
Yeah, I know. No, we're just going to go A word to the D word and the F word and the M word.
That was a song, and it was at Sesame Street or something.
I think Almo was a P word.
Yeah. So what he was.
I'm going to bed. I'm chatting shite.
Right. Are you literally?
What, chatting shite? Yeah, literally.
Yeah, I haven't got much longer to go. Well, probably not, but who knows. But anyway, Paulden, he was saying he don't want to be misunderstood, because he's obviously not saying this is a good thing, but he was saying the terrible sacrifice that the people there are going through is like a blood sacrifice, and he was saying it's a terrible thing, but he's saying he was saying that he feels what is happening will be something that will provide like a regeneration, something to help human society get over the chaos and the tragedy to something better. I don't know. It was an interesting way to put it. Like I say, he said. So, I mean, the thing was, I think that the horrible people do use it as a sacrifice for the very negative reasons. So, like I say, he wasn't saying this is a good thing, but he was just saying perhaps on some deeper level, it is a necessary thing that to go through some sort of cycle to get out the other side. But anyway, he was an interesting person that I didn't know much about, but obviously a lot of people there that have been going to symposium for longer than I have, they were very familiar with him. And but yeah, he came across as a sort of a wise old man, speaking in a very measured way. Yeah, so then there was Alan Foster, who I think was about the first person. Well, he was the first person at the UFO Truth Conference we saw him, and he was someone for me. I thought he gave a good talk because on that particular conference, he was sort of, I think he was giving a sort of an overview of UFOs, like history of it, and again, for me, someone who was new to that, it was good to get some sort of overview like that. So he was talking about developments in all this, things happening with the UFO world and all these new things with Congress and, US Navy releasing this footage and, it becoming like it was being at least tentatively acknowledged by people in power, establishment sort of thing. So again, I won't go through, again, people are familiar with a lot of those things, but he gave a talk. He's involved in an organisation with Gary Heseltine and others, but Alan was saying that he did work, he sort of normal life, if you like, for years. He did work in the aviation industry. I think he worked at an airport. He might have been in Bristol Airport a part of the time. So he did work in aviation. So this organisation that they've started up, I can't remember the exact title of it, but it was in the UK, and it was the idea where they would talk to pilots, current and retired, to get them to be, or allow them to be able to recount their stories of when they experienced UFOs. And so, they've done a lot of talks, a lot of these sort of, if you like to say, normie places, sort of, did sort of British Legion type, places where ex-servicemen, very sort of mainstream people were and given talks about UFOs. And it's encouraged, he's had people come up to him, retired pilots who've given stories about amazing sightings, things they saw, which what they were then not allowed to, they were hushed up by the people in charge, and so you can't share this with anyone. So I think things like that make it seem more real to me. I'm always very suspicious when there's been all these things like was it David Rush and all this stuff, the Congress, because I don't trust people like people at Congress and governments. So when they're suddenly now saying, oh, these things might be real, it just seems a bit of a manipulation. You always get mistrustful because there's always this, is it just another thing, Project Bluebeam, the whole fake alien invasion? Is that going to be another card that they're going to throw at people for their agendas? So I'm suspicious about that. But when you do hear where there's very, ordinary, just sort of low-ranking people, if you like, and maybe they haven't told hardly anyone about an experience because maybe they were embarrassed to, but also they were told not to because of who they were working for at the time. It's various civilian pilots or military. So this idea that that they then felt able, maybe years and years later to recount their stories. There's definitely something there, but again, to what level? And it's fascinating. There's something going on, and I think there's probably different levels. There's probably levels where there's man-made technology. I think Alan Foster recognised that in his talk, that some of it could be where there's secret technology by governments and things, but also on the other level, there could well be things that's not human that's doing this. So come to the very final talk, which is like the separate. They do a thing where you can buy day tickets, you can buy a weekend ticket for the symposium.
You can buy a bloody ticket and then not use it.
There's also that. There's a crop circle tour which is separate on the Thursday, but then they have a Sunday night evening talk at 7:30, and that's separate again. So the people can just come along for that if they want to do that. So on this weekend it was Tanishka, the Moon Woman, and apparently she's quite renowned.
Did you buy the super duper ticket?
Yeah, 2 super duper tickets. Tanishka the Moon Woman, you might be familiar to some people. Apparently she got quite a following on the internet, and yeah, she used to, at one point she was a stand-up comedian at one point. So again, not in the same way as Fergus, but she was good at presenting things. She came across as very down to earth, although with it's like Tanishka the Moon Woman, you might think, oh, she's a bit in the clouds, which is not always a bad thing. But no, she's very down to earth, funny, and well presented her talk. I obviously liked the talk because I bought the book. So that's her current book, The Grail. Now, so I thought it was interesting because again, The Grail was mentioned in the talks I was doing on alchemy, and how these Grail legends, obviously it's all King Arthur, but in terms of that alchemy talk, it was how this got taken up into sort of the idea of the wandering minstrel and these romantic ballads, and then you've got these sort of straight again around France, and but although it was the Grail legends around King Arthur in Britain, but at a certain age these got weaved into these romance stories, and this idea of the Grail, and so what Jay Widener and Bridges was saying was it was sort of ways of embedding alchemical knowledge within these stories, as a way of passing them on when they're being suppressed, things like the Cathars. So they had to go underground and be hidden in creative language. What Tanishka was saying in her book, and this is partly from her research, but also from visions, from experiences she was having. She was talking about what the Grail was actually. These were ancient ceremonies, rituals that people used to go through, and it was again about a balance of the masculine and the feminine. So you needed the hero or the male energy, the males who would go through the sort of hero phase, hero's quest, and then towards becoming a king. Obviously, not all men would become kings, but this idea of stages of life, and then obviously women would go through their stages of life. But the idea that you would have, okay, you like the highest, if you like, of the masculine would be the king of the land, but then for the women, you would have the women priestesses, but there would be rituals involved with the priestesses that would guide the men through their different stages of life. So the rites of passage, but there would be ceremonies and rituals that the priestesses would oversee that would guide the men through being able to sort of challenge and develop themselves. And so, you know, she was saying, obviously, and this has been corrupted and things have been stolen, as we know, by, she just used the blanket term empire, which obviously for successive different forms of empire, rulers, oppressors, and in various different ways, they've taken the symbols and rituals and used them for their own purposes. I mean, one of the things is the St. George's flag. I think she termed that as being the Grail flag. Let me find me notes. Let me find me bits and bobs.
Christ, we ain't got all bloody night.
Oh Christ, no. We will be going into Sunday soon before we.
Literally in. Oh no, it's all right.
I ain't gonna take that long.
I thought it was 11:30.
No. Right. Apologies, people. I'll get there in a minute. I'll just this.
You've been with us for 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
Who's the most mental?
What, them or us?
Yeah.
Well, definitely them.
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting fortunes for doing this, aren't we?
Oh yeah. Is this coming off my back?
No.
Have a little look. I can feel it coming off. This is a ritual in itself, isn't it, Mark?
Yeah.
Explain what you're doing there.
Yeah, it's all right. No, I don't really need to.
Mark has to make sure that my what's it called? Dressing stays on until Monday at 10:10. Mark, I swear to God that left bit is coming off at the top.
No, it's not.
Anyway. I get a little bit paranoid about it.
Yeah. So one experience when she was living somewhere, I think it was out in a sort of woods somewhere, and she was sort of meditating, and I think she was asking for guidance, and this stag actually came to her door, and she was like, "Wow, that's the spirit."
What did it say?
Yeah, I don't know. I think she just felt it was sending her a message.
Well, you would think that, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. I mean, what she was saying is, obviously, in our society now, because you've got men and women without a purpose to their life, because going back again to what we were talking about of the sacred connection with the land, with ancestors, with old knowledge, with old rituals, but also this idea of going through rites of passage, going to a different stage of life and having a purpose. And without purpose, obviously, we've got terrible suicide levels, there's hopelessness, there's, addictions to substances.
Was it solipsism? Is that it? Solipsism?
Yeah, I suppose just this obsession, people's self-obsession, narcissism. She was talking about the I think it's on the British crest. Is it where you got the crown and then you've got a unicorn?
Yeah.
But the unicorn's in chains.
Yeah.
If you know that.
It's usually on things like bags of sugar and things like that.
Yeah. So it's it's one of these where they've taken a symbol, because obviously the unicorn with the horns, like that's from like the third eye.
Yeah.
So
I bet you
patriarchy
I can find something with it on.
has stolen the rights that people have, the ancestral rights. I mean, she was saying she was born in Australia, but from Celtic origin, and she like feels that she needs to at some stage get back here permanently, because this is the land that, you know, her ancestors come from.
I won't come back here, love.
But she again is talking, as other people spoke about, that it need to be a reconnection with these ancient sites. I mean, she.
Does that mean we can go and live in Norway?
Well, I don't know, but yeah. I mean, she has been to other countries. But, I mean, I did read. I'm not sure if she mentioned it in a talk, but in the book she talks about having sharing a ritual with a Maori. So it's not to say that there's not. There was certainly acknowledgement of indigenous people from other cultures, but she was saying, you know, for her it's about connecting back to the place where she was from, or her ancestors were from. So I have been planning to do a talk at some stage about the Grail, King Arthur, those sort of things. So this will probably feed into this on a later talk. But she mentioned about the Fisher King legend. Now I remember, like, when I was at university doing literature, when we were doing about the Wasteland, T.S. Eliot, because a lot of that's based on this Fisher King idea. So that which got connected to the King Arthur legend. So the Fisher King. So it's the idea that the king of a land. If the king is ailing, so the Fisher King is wounded. I think in a lot of the stories, wounded in his private parts, where it really hurts. And that's symbolic of a degeneration, something wrong with the land itself, and the idea that it won't, the land can't be reborn, maybe unless the king recovers, or he's killed, sacrificed, and a new king takes over.
That's like Osiris, isn't it?
Yes.
The bit she couldn't find was his willing.
100%. It comes from, it all stems from that as well. But yeah, so there needs to be this transition though from the warrior stage of man to king, to make it. They need to go through these the guidance of the goddess, and it needs to be determined that the warrior has got to a different level of wisdom, or, you know, understanding, before they can then rule wisely as a king.
We're talking about men that can't have kids. And what's going on now?
Yeah.
You know, I know we're not talking about real men, and we're not talking about fertility.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, it's not being fertile, not being able to
reproduce.
Yeah. And what's going on now?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a plunging of even before the nonsense. There was plunging fertility levels, which is another thing. Yeah. About this need to reconnect. So in ancient times, she's saying these sort of grail. That what was the grail? It was these rituals of helping men to see their immaturity, to then move to a different level where they were mature. And confronting their fears, I guess, confronting the dark side. She was saying midwinter is the most feminine time. You would like winter. But it's about guiding through that winter of to get through to the other side. And when the hero and the mystic, if you like, the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine, join forces, then they're unstoppable.
That's why they want to separate it.
That's why the empire is. I think she does well to use that word because then it shows as well that it's a line for them of empire from Romans, and I'm sure way before that, and right up to now, of the people, the oppressors. She written a note about the Michael and Mary lines here, but sigils to, again, to activate the collective unconscious. The Grail provides support and inner growth, because without it, we mentally, emotionally break down. So it's about healing our wounds and transitioning to heal the land, but also heal ourselves. Heal ourselves first, and then we can heal the land. But yeah, I mean, obviously all the things we know about, higher anxiety levels, and I mean, she said here about the West, but I suppose, you know, this is becoming a worldwide thing because the Western Empire is pretty much taken over everything, you know. And even if you talk about places like China, they've just got a different form of this empire. But I think it's all amalgamating into becoming the same thing, really. And she was saying often, I think, you know, this is echoing what Liz has said, that often people were seeking answers in indigenous people, indigenous wisdom in other places, other countries, because we've lost it in our countries. So people, you know, she had a clip of like people like going and doing ayahuasca in Peru or wherever it may be. But people are seeking these things, but again, it's outside their ancestral knowledge. There's indigenous wisdom within Britain, although it's been buried and people within Britain aren't aware of it. They can't connect to it, so they're sort of often a bit misguided. And she was saying as well, people are just going to these retreats and they're taking substances and they're getting high in it, but it's that sort of, that's where it's at for them, but they aren't really growing and going through this inner journey. I just started to read the book, and reading it, she was in some place and they were doing this, you know, like a bit of a community of people, and they're supposed to be trying to have all the experience and meditations and rituals, but actually for most of them there it was just about getting stoned, partying or whatever, and getting into an altered state, but not an altered state that was then giving them knowledge or, you know, some sort of real journey. So she was just like, well, you know, this is pointless. People aren't ready to sort of see their own shortcomings, and they aren't really trying to grow. So yeah, I might have to draw it to a close because I haven't got all of the I haven't gone into detail about all of her talk, but it was fascinating. I do recommend, she's going up to, not that necessarily many people would be I'm actually going up to Edinburgh, as I say, but the Edinburgh Festival, that's where it is apparently on, which is probably why I've been unable to get a flight. But she's going up there, she's doing like a one-woman show. So again, she's quite dramatic and creative. So it's a good message to end on, I think. The conference, it's time to reclaim stolen sacred rights, human rights. We're all multidimensional beings. So yeah, that's St. George's flag. That is apparently, I think, a Grail symbol, which again has been incorporated to make it part of the empire. The kings used to swear to the earth and the sacred feminine. So yeah, I think that's really, I suppose, to me, it did come together, all these different talks, and I'm sure it was an accident, because they've been, Andy and Di and the other organisers put together amazing conferences, and they've been doing it for years. But I think there were connections there between underlying energies within everything, higher dimensions. We're all part of an infinite consciousness. There's higher dimensions to us and to everything. There's all this energy with everything. This energy gets directed through the earth. Ancient sites connect those energies. Things like crop circles, often on ley lines, often by ancient sites. The one I went into, is it Badbury Rings? Actually, the crop circles from the air did a film of it, so maybe I have to link to that. From the drone footage, you can see above the one the circle I was in. So it's these ideas of energies within us, connecting with energies of the land, energies of the sky. And the evil empires have been disrupting these energies, taking these energies for themselves, corrupting them, taking our power, using it for themselves. There is a conflict. We know we're in a spiritual battle, but there are increasing numbers that know about it, and that we need to connect, as we're connecting, doing in this chat, we did in the symposium. We've got much wider communities. More and more people, I think, are learning about things. They're feeling it, and it's all about, we need to fight back, connecting with ourselves, but connecting with these ancestral and primeval energies in the earth and the sky, and we can all connect this up, and we can rediscover the Grail that will give us our power back to beat the scumbags of the empire. So I'm going to end.
That her next door.
On that bombshell. Right. I think take a knee, yeah. Take a knee, Kia. Well, there was something about that, because the whole knighting process, when people go down on one knee, and the idea of a sword, it used to be that they just takes a nick of blood.
Can you imagine if I had to do that job? Oops.
Off with his head. But I think apparently that used to be part of this sort of ritual, and again, it used to be for, as I say, people being knighted, going to another level from sort of the warrior, and it was just taking a nick of blood.
Blood sacrifice.
Well, yeah, but she does talk a lot about our menstrual cycles.
Oh,
it's a lot about.
That's a fucking, I don't understand
it's
that.
a lot about using the old menstrual blood. Yeah, there's a lot of that in there.
Well, don't, because that's that. I don't want to talk about it.
Don't want to talk about it.
Right. Right. Time to go, because I'm going to sleep.
Mari says, maybe do a bind room for the monster next door.
Right. Night, everybody.
All right. Love to you all.
Night, everybody.
Thanks for dancing with us.
I don't know if they did. I know Linda did. I've only got evidence that Linda did.
All right. Well, maybe it's
Margaret made up some shit about a bad foot. I don't know what's going on. Yeah.
So, yeah, keep dancing the energies. Dance to beat the scumbags.
Bye. Love you, everybody.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.